Try to social distance. The next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, January 24th at 6:30 p.m. The public portion will begin at 8 p.m. Municipal offices will be closed on Monday, January 16th, in observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Council met in closed session earlier this evening to discuss the following: COVID updates, the DPW project, the ethics board, the municipal building basement, street mechanics, personnel, legal issues, and opinions regarding items on the open session agenda, litigation updates, and Oprah. Our next order of business is presentations. Mr. Manager, will you be leading us in the presentations? Thank you, Mr. Manager.
First, welcome to our super spreader event tonight. Welcome, Chiefs. Nice to see you guys. All right. We have several promotions we're going to do tonight. 2 for the rank of sergeant, 1 for the rank of lieutenant, and then we will swear in our 11th police chief of the Teaneck Police Department. We have a couple certificates of appreciation to do this evening. And first up, without further ado, before I recognize some people in the audience, let's get to the swearing in of your 2 sergeants and your lieutenant. And so the first person we're going to recognize is Sergeant Stephen Morena. So just a little bit about Stephen. Badge number 338 is being promoted to the rank of sergeant this evening. Here tonight in attendance is his wife, Danielle. Anyone else, Steve? Family's all in there, Mom. All right, don't be shy. Raise your hands. Nice to see everyone. Nice. Steve was hired in 2015, has 8 years of service with the Teaneck Police Department. I'm going to go over notable achievements, and thank you, Sue Palmadessa, the Chief Secretary. I'm going to read off what you gave me, so hopefully it's accurate. Notable achievement comment: Sergeant Morena has received numerous commendations during his career from the community, within the police department and many outside agencies. As a patrol officer, Sergeant Morena was a productive officer, field training officer, acclimating new officers upon their police academy graduation, trained dispatcher, and has shown himself to be self-initiated. While assigned to the Detective Bureau Narcotics Squad, he was exposed to investigations ranging from petty disorderly persons offenses to indictable crimes. Sergeant Morena was also assigned to general investigation cases and completed the Teaneck Police and Fire applicant backgrounds, which I know can be a real pain. He continues to maintain a positive attitude and demonstrates professionalism and his ability to work unsupervised. That's what I like to hear. Sergeant Morena will continue to demonstrate a proficient level of competency, professionalism, and dependability in his new supervisory positions. For those of you that are familiar with, especially with the civil service system, this is to go from the rank of patrol to sergeant is the biggest and most hardest jump to make. You're competing with quite a few different officers compared to the other ranks. Higher up you go, of course, not as many in that rank. So I know Stephen took a lot of time. It's a sacrifice not only with him but with his family to dedicate probably several months to prepare for the exam. Hope that somebody retires. So here you are. I've heard nothing but good things about you, Stephen, and I expect the best and to give the town the best that you can as a leader in the Teaneck Police Department. Chief, would you like to say a few words?
Yes. Congratulations, Stephen. I've known Stephen since before he was hired here. He worked at Fairleigh Dickinson Security before that, and he got a good amount of training from our retired detective, Mark Fisco. Mark. But Steve's always been someone that's been great to work with. He's got a great sense of humor. He's great people skills. He gets people to talk to him. He gets people to relax. He's just a great person to work with all around. We have a lot of fun stories. A lot of them involve B&W Bakery and Rispoli's. But Steve's always been a good problem solver. Someone that I know if he looks at a flyer that comes out about someone trying to identify a vehicle. He will spend the time it takes until he comes back with the exact year, make, and model of that car. Steve, congratulations. It's always been a pleasure. Look forward to working with you.
All right, Steve, we're going to do the swearing in, give you the oath of office. Who would you like to come up to hold the Bible? Okay. All right, Danielle, come on down. All right, you like to hold the Bible? Left hand on the Bible, Steve, raise your right hand. Repeat, face the camera because we're live. Okay. All right, I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Sergeant of the Teaneck Police Department according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations, Sergeant. Are you going to pin the badge? Okay, not going to help it now. All right. All right, thank you. Yeah. Next, we have Anderson Ramirez, front and center. Badge number 350. How are you? Anderson's being promoted to the rank of sergeant this evening as well. Family in attendance, mother is here, Luz Bariga, wife, am I pronouncing this right, Emilis? And son, Aaron. Nice to have you here. Thank you for coming tonight. Anderson's been on the Teaneck Police Department for 5.5 years, was hired in 2017. Some of the positions held by him include motor patrol officer. He's also a 2019 Honor Guard member, continues to be a member of the Honor Guard, and in 2021 was assigned to the Detective Bureau, Juvenile Bureau. This is, I think, becoming somewhat problematic for the chief. All of our detectives are reaching the rank of sergeant, so I think we do have a fairly young Detective Bureau at this time, but I know, gosh, with all the recent current events, everyone has done an excellent job in town handling these cases that come in. Some of the notable achievements while in the Detective Bureau, the Juvenile Bureau, Sergeant Ramirez was assigned to investigate offenses committed by juveniles, incidents occurring on school property, missing juveniles, and incidents which involve juveniles in crisis. He also has experience assisting with general investigation cases and conducting a background investigation of police applicants. Sergeant Ramirez continues to be very flexible, whether it involves working with other agencies, working a case, or using his bilingual translation skills. He was trained for the Field Training Officer Program as an officer and is always willing to take on any task that's assigned to him. He continues to be an active member of the Honor Guard. Sergeant Ramirez will continue to be a productive member and supervisor of the Teaneck Police Department and the Teaneck Township. I thank you for your service, Chief.
Yes. So as the manager mentioned, Anderson's only been on 5.5 years, and you have to be an officer for 3 years before you can even take the sergeant's exam. So for Anderson to be standing up here getting promoted this early in his career is quite an outstanding feat. I can tell you for myself, it took me 12 years before I was able to make sergeant. You need timing, you need to do well on the test, and as the manager said, it takes a lot of time and effort on those exams. Anderson never actually worked for me directly. I've heard nothing but good things about him. Back this past May, we had a call on Newbridge Road where an emotionally disturbed person jumped in front of one of our patrol cars with a knife threatening the officer. That was Sergeant Boswell, who got out and tried to communicate with the individual, but Anderson got there because he only spoke Spanish and was able to speak with this person for about 15 minutes, I think it went on, until they were successfully able to disarm him and nobody got hurt. So it showed a great amount of ability to be patient, to be able to communicate with somebody and get them to be calm. And as most people know, in law enforcement, dealing with emotionally disturbed people can be one of the most challenging aspects of our job. So I congratulate you on the job you did. As I told you after your interview, I thought he did an outstanding job, actually very impressive job on his interview with the questions we posed to them. They're not easy. It's kind of nerve-wracking when you have a panel of administration sitting there questioning you, but I was very impressed with his performance, and I expect nothing but good things going forward. Congratulations.
Okay, oath of office, who's gonna come up? Okay, come on up. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Sergeant of the Teaneck Police Department according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations, Sergeant. This is your time to get them. That was not on the sergeant's test. Next up is Sergeant Charles Antonori, who will be promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Sarge? A family I know very well. Charlie's going to be appointed from sergeant to lieutenant this evening, and Charlie's badge number is 326. Joined the police department in 2011. He has 12 years of service. Family in attendance tonight is his wife, Sarah. Sons Albert and Charlie, parents Al and Rose, in-laws Peter and Lisa, grandmothers Elizabeth and Margaret. Welcome to Teaneck. Thanks for being here. Family tradition in the Teaneck Police Department from retired Chief Robert Wilson, who's in the audience today, and current family cousin Sergeant Phil Apreda. Was Phil? Is Phil here? He's out there, okay. Officer Daniel Antonori and Officer Michael Apreda. So it's a big family here in Teaneck. Thank you for coming this evening. Charlie has held positions such as motor patrol officer in 2016. He was a detective assigned to general investigations. Also a firearms instructor. 2019, he was promoted to a sergeant of motor patrol. And some of his notable achievements include receiving numerous commendations during his career from the community, within the police department, from other outside agencies. While assigned to General Investigations Unit, Lieutenant Antonori was responsible for investigating different offenses ranging from petty disorderly persons to first-degree crimes. As Sergeant of Motor Patrol, his strong work ethic, knowledge, skills, and abilities allowed him to serve the township as a productive professional sergeant and motor patrol officer. Lieutenant Antonori is an effective supervisor who performs all the requirements of his position with a positive attitude and efficiency. I've known Charles for a few years, and I can attest he is an asset to the Teaneck Police Department and the officers that we're promoting here tonight. Again, this is the face of the police department. These are officers that are going to move up the rank and represent at some point in time your hierarchy. So congratulations, Charlie. And Chief, would you like to say a few words?
So a common theme among the three individuals getting promoted tonight is just great communication skills. All three of them have always shown that they're very patient and able to deal with people. Charlie, I've worked with Charlie for quite some time now. It's always been a pleasure. We call it an old soul of a sort, in that he just has the patience and understanding and demeanor of somebody much beyond his years. And Charlie also has a great command presence. A few different times he's shown that where he shows up and can take control of a situation that is somewhat out of control. Recently, Packer Shoes had 200 people online for a shoe release, and the crowd got out of control. All cars had to respond, as well as we had 2 officers already on a detail there. And I got a phone call from a retired officer in Florida who told me his son was on that line and was amazed at how well Charlie was able to bring the situation under control. Just said that he was the most professional person he's ever seen. And this is someone who retired after 25 years in law enforcement, and his son was commending the actions that he had seen on site. It didn't surprise me. I know that that's the kind of officer Charlie is. He very matter of fact with people, lays it out to them the way it is, and doesn't beat around the bush. It's a good characteristic. We always appreciate it. And Charlie, I look forward to working with you going forward. Congratulations.
And with all these 4 promotees tonight, they all have strong ties and roots to the township, which makes me very proud. I was someone born and raised in Teaneck, and I know a few of you as well. So it's great to see people that were born, raised here, representing the community. And again, I thank you for your service. Bible, Andy? Charlie, who do you want? All right. All right. Left hand, raise your right hand. Charlie. There you go. Guys ready? Okay, I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Lieutenant of the Teaneck Police Department according to the best of my ability. So help me God. All right, congratulations, Lieutenant. Okay, and last but not least is Chief Andrew McGurr. I want to recognize a few people here tonight. Feel very protected this evening. And to my right are several chiefs from Bergen County. One is John Russo. John, thank you for being here. Robert Chamberlain, who is present. Rob, you were president of the Bergen County Chiefs Association recently. Congratulations. Rich Skinner, Mike Chiaffi. And we have, of course, retired Teaneck Police Chief Robert Wilson in front of me. To my left is Reverend Daniel Mays, the police chaplain. We have Rabbi Daniel Friedman. He's also the fire chaplain. Rabbi Friedman's here tonight. We have Fire Chief Joe Birchtold. To my right, retired police captain or deputy chief, Tim? Captain from Anglewood, Tim Terrell. Retired police captain Mark Disler. We have retired Deputy Chief John Figello. I don't know how I can miss John, but not where he's at. We have our TPD command staff, Captain Michael Ferranti, Captain Seth Kriegel, Captain Scott Tesser. Hopefully I'm not leaving anyone out. There's a slew of other Teaneck police officers here. I just want to call up Reverend Daniel Mays and I should have done this at the onset, just to come up and give us an invocation and prayer for our new appointees.
Well, before we pray on behalf of the council, township manager, and the chaplaincy of Teaneck Police Department, I want to congratulate the candidates before us. We truly are blessed in this community to have such superior candidates to fulfill some very important roles within our police department. I leave you with one scripture from 1 Timothy chapter 2, and then we'll pray. It says, first of all, then I urge that supplication, prayers, and intercession and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and for all those in high positions, that we may have a peaceful life. And that's the prayer of the chaplaincy. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for these men and their families and for our community. And we ask that you would grant them great wisdom and discernment and protection, Lord, as they usher in peace into our communities and into our homes. And Lord, we ask this in your name always. Amen and amen.
Thank you, Reverend Mays. Sue, I did not take your biography, Andy. I wrote something else up myself today, so please don't feel offended. I know I spoke to recently retired Police Chief Glenn O'Reilly. He couldn't make tonight's ceremony. He wanted me to relay his congratulations and well wishes, Andy, to honor you, to give you his well wishes, his congratulations, and we're going to be honoring retired Chief O'Reilly at the January 24th council meeting for his 31 years of service. So we'll have you come back that night as well, but he apologized he couldn't be here this evening. We're here, of course, to swear in Teaneck's newest police chief, Andrew McGurr. I did recognize some of the dignitaries in the audience, and again, I apologize if I missed anyone, but more importantly, the family in attendance. Andy's family in attendance this evening is his wife, Amy. To my right, we have his son, Luke. We have his daughter, Hannah. How was your basketball game tonight? Good, very good. Glad you can make it back. His brother, John, father-in-law, Kamal Malik, mother-in-law, Nadia Malik, and his brother-in-law, John. So thank you for being here on this special night. And again, Andy, I'll just say, I'm sure your parents are very proud of your accomplishments and watching from above. And if they were here, I'm sure they would be very proud to see this. Tonight, Chief McGurr follows the footsteps of many great leaders in the Teaneck Police Department, to include Chief Edward Murphy from 1915 through 1924, Chief Cornelius Hart, 1927 through 1966, Robert Fitzpatrick, 1966 to 1979, Joseph Kilmurray from 79 to 81, Brian E. Burke from 1981 to 1991, Chief Donald Gianone from 1991 through 2004, Chief Paul Tiernan, and that was from 2004 to 2008. Chief Robert Wilson, 2008 to 2014. Chief Robert Carney, 2014 to 2016. And Chief Glenn O'Reilly from 2017 through 2022. I'm proud to have the opportunity this evening to swear Andy in as Teaneck's 11th police chief. A little history on Chief McGurr. He was born and raised in Teaneck and graduated from Teaneck High School in 1988. Chief McGurr graduated from Rutgers University in 1992. A fast fact in college, he's probably going to get mad that I'm going to, maybe he would. Andy, and I can call him Andy. He was declared Mr. Rutgers. And I'll let him explain that story to you, but it's a true story. After graduating from college, Andy joined the police department in 1993. He started as a motor patrol officer for 2 years before being reassigned to community policing in 1995. In 96, Andy was assigned to general investigations as a detective. In 97, he was transferred to the narcotics squad, where he was led by an excellent supervisor back then. In 2003, he was transferred back to general investigations before being promoted to sergeant in 2005. In 2006, Andy was reassigned as a detective sergeant to the anti-crime squad before making lieutenant in 2008. In 2010, Andy was again reassigned to the detective bureau as detective lieutenant. He remained in that position for a decade before being promoted to captain in charge of the service division. Things progressed pretty quickly, and as they say, timing sometimes is everything. A retirement created an opening as deputy chief, and Andy was chosen for the position in April of 2022. He served in that role until being appointed acting chief due to the retirement of Glenn O'Reilly. I have personally and professionally known Andy since 1993. I can confidently say that Teaneck is promoting a leader that will continue to bring many positive qualities to the department and our community. We are getting a person who has a true interest in this community to make it better, to build trust along with strong morals and honesty. Andy's a leader a leader with integrity who will reinforce the agency's mission statement and the community's expectations of professional policing. I remind everyone, without integrity, there is little hope for trust and legitimacy to be perceived by the officers or our fine community. Andy will not only meet these goals as chief of police, he will certainly exceed them. I can spend a lot of time speaking about Andy this evening, and I'm sure he would want me to. However, I think everyone knows Andy's an excellent police officer who will continue to lead the Teaneck Police Department into the 21st century with new initiatives. So I'll stop there. I'm looking forward to great things from Andy in the future. And I want to congratulate him sincerely for this tremendous accomplishment. He's worked very hard for this, and now he can reap the rewards as police chief. And again, I can't forget to mention Andy's family that's here this evening. Again, all of them who have deep roots to Teaneck. I thank all of you for sharing Andy with us. You know, we are his extended family here. As a retired police officer, I know firsthand all the true demands of the job and the sacrifices he's had to make. I'm sure all of you are very proud of his accomplishments, and I wish everyone here Godspeed. So without further ado, I'm going to swear you in. I know you have your prepared statement that you'll read to everyone.
All right.
All right. So who do you want to come up, Andy? Left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, repeat after me. We practiced this today, remember? Okay. I state your name.
I, Andrew McGurk,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of chief
all the duties of the office of chief
of the Teaneck Police Department
of the Teaneck Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Chief. Karen, if you'd be so kind, I left the badge up there. Hang on. Okay. Okay, I present to you Teaneck's 11th Police Chief, Andrew McGurk.
You want to read it? No? All right, so basically I spent my entire career trying to avoid getting called to the chief's office, and now I'm there. So it's amazing. I'd like to start off by thanking the mayor, council, manager, deputy manager, for giving me this opportunity. I would also like to thank everybody who came out tonight to share in our promotional ceremony. And I would also like to once again congratulate our newly promoted officers on a job well done. Thank you. Having worked at the Teaneck Police Department for almost 30 years, it is a tremendous honor to be given the opportunity to take over and lead the department going forward. The Teaneck Police Department has a long history of excellence, setting high standards for itself and striving to provide the best services for its residents. The great reputation of our department is not based solely upon the work that we do today, but is based upon the exceptional work that has been done by the officers who came before us. The officers of this department have always worked hard to ensure that the job was done the right way, with an emphasis on professionalism and respect. It is now our responsibility to maintain those standards and to continue to be the department that our members and the citizens of the town are proud to call their own. Teaneck's size, location, and its diverse community provide for a variety of challenges for our department. As we have seen, if it can happen anywhere, it can happen in Teaneck. I've been fortunate to have had many great experiences over the course of my career, but by far the greatest part of my experience has been the wonderful people I've had the opportunity to work with. I realized when speaking recently at a retirement luncheon that what really makes our department special is the quality of the people who work here, the character and the quality. As the manager said, my family has a long history in Teaneck. My grandparents bought a house on Herrick Avenue in 1937. They raised my mother and her 6 siblings there, and when my grandparents both passed, my parents took over and raised me and my 4 siblings in the same house. The house was in our family to 2016, 79 years. My mother was a music teacher in Teaneck before she had kids, and my father was an electrician who worked in houses and businesses all over town. I grew up going to Bryant School, Longfellow, TJ. I went to Bergen Catholic for a short stint and then came back to Teaneck High School and graduated in 1988. I went on to Rutgers, where I got my degree in 1992. And then 1 year later, in 1993, I was off to the police academy. Growing up in Teaneck was a great experience interacting with people of all different backgrounds and cultures. It definitely helped prepare me for the career with the police department. Now, I know the manager gave the long list of chiefs that have been here, but I've had the opportunity to work under 5 different chiefs. Giannone hired me. I worked with under Tiernan, Chief Wilson, Chief Carney, and most recently, Chief Glenn O'Reilly. I have a greater appreciation for the work that they have done and the challenges they must have faced in the position. I would like to specifically recognize the work done by former Chief O'Reilly and then Deputy Chief John Figello. In March of 2020, when COVID began to spread in this country, Teaneck was the epicenter. Nobody had ever dealt with anything like that, and none of us knew what to expect. Chief O'Reilly and Deputy Chief Figello led our department through what was possibly the most stressful time in most of our careers. Through calm, steadfast leadership and strategic planning, they managed to get us through it, and I commend them for the job that they did. I would also like to take a second to recognize the team that I work with every day in administration. They are the ones who make sure that everything gets done, and there's quite a bit of work that gets accomplished. Captain Ferrante, Captain Tesser, Captain Kriegel, Officer Quant, and Susan Palmadessa. They're all great to work with, and I would like to thank them all for the work that they do every day to keep everything running as smoothly as it does. There have been so many people who have been influential on me throughout my career, and I look around the room and I see a bunch. I see Tim out here, Mark in the hallway, Zareta showed up, just a ton of people. I can't tell you how many. I could go on, but in the interest of not being up here all night, I've narrowed it down to a few. I'd like to start with my parents. So I wish my parents were still here to see this tonight, as I know they would be very proud. I thank them for everything I have and for giving me and instilling me the moral foundation and work ethic that enabled me to get this far. My mother and father-in-law, their experience coming to this country from Egypt with so little and working hard to get to where they are today is simply an American success story and an inspiration for what can be accomplished through hard work. They've always been very supportive of me and my family, and I'm very grateful to have them as part of my life. Manager Kaczynski, he was my coach when I played junior football and was my supervisor a few different times in my career. Probably the person that I learned the most from. He imparted upon me knowledge that he had gained over his own career and showed me early on the qualities of a good leader. Chief Glenn O'Reilly, we knew each other since we were kids playing baseball in Teaneck Southern Little League. We were always able to relate to each other through our own experiences growing up at the same time. When I got to work for the chief over the past 12 years, I got to benefit from the insight that he brought to the work from 3 generations of Teaneck police officers. And John Figello, probably the most influential person on my career. John and I went to the academy together. We were partners for several years in narcotics, and I had the opportunity to work for John in my later years. John has always been a great role model and someone I could turn to for advice. I'm a better person for knowing John and I've always been honored to consider him one of my closest friends. Finally, I would like to thank my family for their constant love and support over the years. Amy, my wife for almost 25 years, has always been supportive of my advancement and always gave me the time I needed when preparing for promotional exams. My son Luke, my daughter Hannah, have always been great at understanding when I need to step away for a minute to handle something for work. Today is a tremendous milestone for me. It's in my career, but make no mistake that Luke and Hannah, you are your mother and my greatest and most proudest achievements. So in closing, I'd like to thank again the council for this opportunity. I look forward to working with everybody and dealing with the challenges that lie ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. We have, don't go too far. We have three actually certificates of appreciation to give out for a life-saving award for three members of the police department. I know one of them is not here tonight, correct?
Yes.
I want the mayor to come down to be part of this. But Chief, do you want to explain a little bit about this call, what took place, and the actions of the officers that are deserving this award tonight?
Yes, recently we had a fire call at 34 State Street, I believe was the address. Officer Andra Ellington, newly promoted, Sergeant Morena, and where is he? Is Coley? Officer Coley here? Yep. No? And Officer Coley responded to the address on the call of the fire. They got there, the apartment was on the 5th floor, and they went up to the 5th floor apartment, located the elderly female who was residing there, who was in a wheelchair and also needed support from an oxygen tank. Being that the elevator wasn't working, the three officers managed to get her with her wheelchair and carry them down the stairs to the 2nd floor where she could get medical aid from the Teaneck Volunteer Ambulance Corps due to smoke inhalation. The fire department then responded under Chief Birchtold and were able to extinguish the fire. But if it wasn't for their quick actions, who knew what would be the outcome for the resident? So if you guys would come up.
Right, Mayor. That's all of them getting that. So we have certificates of appreciation. Mayor, I'll let you read that one.
Sure. For going above and beyond the call of duty on a service call on January 2nd, 2023, where your quick thinking and courage saved a life. Thank you from the mayor and the council.
So these certificates are going to Officer Glenn Coley. They are going to Sergeant Stephen Morena. Steve, and there's also one from my office as well. And it's going to Andra Ellington, who's not here tonight. So again, these officers went above and beyond. They saved a life, carried a woman down in a wheelchair from the top floor of a burning apartment complex without any due regard for their own safety. And these are the officers that we have in Teaneck. I appreciate them every day. I hope the community appreciates them every day, but day in and day out, they go in and do the job and represent Teaneck very well. So that concludes the ceremony tonight. Again, congratulations, everyone. I'm going to turn it over to the mayor and council for comment. Hang on to those.
Anyone from council want to say a few words?
Yes, thank you very much. On behalf of Deputy Mayor Katz, I'll jump in where he's not here to first. We heard great things about the officers tonight, but we also want to thank the family. You mentioned that your family, you take some calls and you appreciate their understanding. We appreciate them for lending you officers to us. So thank you very much. We'd be remiss if we didn't thank you for your support. Also just want to congratulate everyone, all the officers. I've gotten plenty of ambulance calls with everyone over the years. There is no greater feeling rolling up in an ambulance call scene when you know there's an officer there, not just to sit there, of course, which Teaneck police never do, but to get involved and help out. And for that, we as residents, there's plenty of residents here tonight, thank you. We go to sleep knowing that when we call, you come quickly, you come professionally, and we appreciate that, and congratulations. And I hope to see everyone back up here again in the next ranks thereafter.
Councilwoman Oregon.
So in the last few walkouts that I went to last year, I think I had reached a place where I didn't know anybody, knew who had joined the force. Everybody that I knew, all my friends and buddies had gone, and I was feeling very, very old. But since then, Sergeant Morena, you've spent nights in the back of this room with us, taking care of us till late, late at night. And I know that Sergeant Ramirez, you are back here. You know, we've done commendations for you, and I know that we will see you again soon. And Lieutenant Antonori, I can't think of a better promotion test than doing a sneaker release for this generation. So job well done. To Chief McGurr, listening to the way that Dean spoke about you, and then the way that you spoke about your men, Dean and I are in this club where we get teary-eyed and we get very emotional about things, and it was very nice to see that you're a member of that as well. I know that you have been acting chief for a while with us, and you are a pleasure to work with. I know that you respect your men respect you. And I know that the manager has huge respect for you. And so we're grateful to have you on board. And we know that you have the best interests of all of our residents at heart. And just looking around the room tonight, the number of accumulated years from the chiefs from other departments, prior chiefs here, prior officers, everybody. I don't know how we express to you how grateful that we are. When we get scared, we don't know what to do. And so we call you. And my mother makes fun of me because I say this all the time and I get choked up. But every single one of us in this room has been in a position where we don't know what to do. And you do. And you come and you help us and you save us and you're our heroes. And so I'm very much looking forward to hearing from all of our newly promoted officers, and with our deepest gratitude to you.
Councilwoman Belcher.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to just to echo everything that's been said. I haven't had an opportunity to meet each and every one of you, but I have been the beneficiary of the service, having lived in Teaneck for 36 years. And I can say that without a doubt, it's so much safety. I mean, I'm just walking into this room, how safe do we all feel? But I just want to say from, having been married to a law enforcement officer, I know what it's like to be on the family side. So I just want to shout out to all the wives and the children and the sacrifices that you make, because it's not easy. I know that, but I want to also just thank you for your service, all of you, and I look forward to working with you in the coming years. God bless you.
Councilwoman Goldberg.
So I just want to say that it's such an honor to sit here and witness this as our first official council meeting. And, I want to congratulate all the officers on their promotion and Chief McGurr. I'm very excited, and we've met a couple of times. And I think, a long lifelong Teaneck resident, it's such a special thing. And you really understand the community and how special Teaneck is. And we're so grateful for you. And to your families, we're so grateful to all of you every single day. We know it's a sacrifice for you guys as well every single day. And we're very grateful. And we really thank you for your service, all of you.
Deputy Mayor G.
Also like to echo the thoughts of all my colleagues here. We are so deeply thankful to all of you. Congratulations to the recently promoted officers. Chief McGurr, I recently had a chance to meet you and do a tour of the police building with you, and it was so helpful, and you answered so many of my questions, and I look forward to continuing to work with you, over the next few years. I also want to say shout out to all the families. We feel so safe because of the sacrifices that you make, allowing your family members to serve our community. Every interaction I've had with police officers in Teaneck has been more than positive, so respectful. I've never felt more protected. So I just want to say thank you. Continue to do this great work. We appreciate you.
First and foremost, congratulations. Congratulations. You guys deserve this. Secondly, thank you for everything that you do for Teaneck. Our police department is a very, very important part of our Teaneck family. And just within the past 10 days, there were 3 articles about how amazing our police officers are. And even when the media doesn't notice it, we notice it, and we're eternally grateful to you guys for it. But also thank you to your families for sharing you with us. And lastly, please always be safe out there. We want you to always, please come home safe to your families at the end of your shift. And we're always going to keep you in our prayers. We love you and we appreciate you. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Okay, that concludes the ceremony. I forgot to recognize one person. I don't know why I did that. My deputy manager, who's also the retired police chief in Leonia, Tom Rowe. All right, sorry, Tom. Again, thank you all for coming. Safe travels tonight, and we wish our best to all the new promotees. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, should we give everyone a couple minutes to clear the room for the family members that will be leaving?
Nice job. Very nice job. All right, John. All right, take care. I don't know. Take care. All right. You're tired, right? Stop by. I'm waiting for them.
Hey. Come on, baby.
Bye.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
Chief, congratulations, sir.
Hey, Daryl.
Mr. Manager, thank you for handling the presentations for us, and congratulations once again to all of our police officers and our chief who was promoted. The next order of business is work session items, and first up is miscellaneous. Does anyone on council have anything under miscellaneous? No. Next on the agenda is old business. Does anyone on council have any old business they would like to discuss? Seeing no hands, we're moving forward. New business is next on the agenda. Does anyone have anything under new business to discuss on council? No. Next, we have communications. Does anyone on council have any communications they would like to discuss? Seeing no hands, moving forward. Committee reports by council liaisons. Councilwoman Goldberg, I think you have a report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Cannabis Subcommittee met on January 5th with myself, Mayor Pagan, and Councilwoman Belcher. We discussed the upcoming Cannabis Town Hall at the Rhoda Center in Gym 2 on January 25th at 6 p.m. The purpose of the town hall is to have resident input on cannabis, to be able to ask the questions about the process, where we are today and where we hope to be. No matter what side you stand on the issue, I really encourage all community members to attend. We spoke about the panelists, including police, health officer, approved license holders, school administration, and security. Councilwoman Belcher also suggested a townwide survey, which we spoke about with the deputy manager about getting that set up to be sent. So hopefully everybody will be getting one soon. We also spoke about the process going forward. What does a formal application process look like for license holders? Potential fees, capping the number of licenses by license type, and a checklist for the rest of council to have when issuing the approval letters going forward. And lastly, we spoke about zoning. Currently, Alfred Avenue is the only area in Teaneck zoned for recreational cannabis. Based on prior conversations I had with Deputy Mayor Katz, we are looking at potential zoning options, not just for retail, but holistically by license type. We hope to have that available to present at the town hall so residents can provide input. But I want to stress that the only area in Teaneck currently zoned for recreational cannabis is Alfred Avenue, and no zoning decisions have been made. Dean, one question we were asked, is it possible that the town hall can be available via Zoom? The Cannabis Town Hall.
Ron, is that possible via Zoom? Okay, I'll speak to Ron and Andrew tomorrow and see if we can make that happen. for the
Thank you.
meeting.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anybody else have a committee report? Deputy Mayor G.
I had the opportunity to meet with the chair of the advisory board and community relations. He had one request for the council. He would like to invite members of the public to, as long as they're Teaneck residents, to attend his meetings in both January and February. And so wasn't sure if we needed to vote on that. I know there's a pending ordinance for later today, but wanted to get permission from the council to in fact have members of the public attend.
Mr. Clerk, procedurally, how do we address that?
If council just gives 4 nodding heads, something like that is, if
Okay.
everyone agrees, we can,
Do we have-
I'll work with Yassine to make sure that the public can get access.
Do we have 4 nodding heads? Yes, we do. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Anybody else on council have a committee report? Councilwoman Belcher?
Thank you. I just want to say that in terms of the Chamber of Commerce, I'm attending the first meeting on Thursday. I'm looking forward to that. I have made communications with them. And I'm looking forward to continuing that discussion. Also looking to attend the Cedar Lane Business District meeting, as well as a historic preservation next upcoming meeting. So that's my update. So I should have more for the next council meeting.
Just jump onto the Cedar Lane Management Group where I've served for the last few years. They've asked if it's open to all all council members. There's dinner as well, kosher dinner as well. They've asked if I can stop by tomorrow and pass the reins on. But in the future, if Mr. Clerk, if we could maybe send out the meeting dates to the other council members, maybe once a year, just stop on by and have someone to bite to eat and talk to them for a few minutes. They would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else?
Yeah, the library board actually has a seat for the mayor on it. It's a voting seat. The library met with an architect today. Shanae met with an architect, and they are looking to start construction. They didn't get a grant that they were hoping to get, but there is still funding for it. So the mayor or an appointee can join at any time.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Seeing no more hands. We're going to move on. The next item on the agenda is council listed items. Mr. Clerk, the first item, Teaneck lighting, was put there by Deputy Mayor Katz, but he's not here. Should we hold that until the meeting for the 24th?
We could do that.
Okay, everybody okay with that? This way, Deputy Mayor Katz can discuss it. And also, Mr. Clerk, Councilwoman Goldberg told me that there's no need to discuss the advisory board's ordinance because it is already on the agenda. Is that okay? All right, so next on the agenda is formal meeting items, public hearing and adoption of ordinances, but there are no ordinances. Right, Mr. Clerk, so we can proceed on to good and welfare and public input before.
Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped it. Sorry about that, Dean.
Yeah, Dean needs his report.
Probably done enough talking.
Sorry about that,
That's why
Dean.
you asked me. But I can discuss the lighting issue, but I have a few other things I want to go over with council and the public. Just update you on COVID-19. We have 12,724 COVID-19 cases. We're actually up 99 since December 31st, and that's an average of about 14 per day. We remain at 146 deaths. I know we didn't follow it this evening at the council meeting, but certainly try to take as many precautions as you can. And what we're doing is there's going to be a mobile COVID-19 swabbing lab or van, and that's going to be parked, I believe, by week's end from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Saturday. And that's going to be at the overflow parking lot on Palisade Avenue across from the Rota Center. So that, again, that will be in place. Holy Name will handle that. It's open to everyone. You just need to make your appointment online at the Holy Name website. So that should start either Thursday or Friday this week. Again, Monday through Saturday, the hours are 7 to 3 p.m. and it's being run by Holy Name. Update on the Teaneck Leonia DPW project. Talks continue with the county and local officials. I have a meeting with the business administrator from Leonia on Thursday. As I mentioned in the past, there needs to be a land swap that Leonia has graciously agreed to. There'll be a minor diversion application with DEP Green Acres that the county has said they will handle for us. So that project is moving forward. It's going to take some time, but it is moving forward. I'm going to be meeting with Joanne Samaluka. She's the director of Bergen County Economic Development on January 20th to facilitate a meeting to discuss ways in which Bergen County Economic Resiliency Advisory Committee can help out the town or businesses. I know Larry Bauer from the board, from the chamber will be there, and I will get a few other stakeholders there as well to try to get this going. I'm going to be, meeting with Dr. Andre Spencer as well on January 23rd. Really a meet and greet and a review our shared services and see if we can come up with some new initiatives. So that's on the 23rd. Yesterday, as probably some of you know, I provided the oath of office to 5 new firefighters. They're going to start the academy next week. We were hoping to get 10 hired. However, we will only get 5 that wound up being eligible. A new list comes out in the spring, at which time we're going to fill the remaining ranks on the fire department. Next week, I'm going to be giving the oath of office to 5 new police officers as well. We tried to get 10 to fill all the vacant positions, but again, it was very difficult finding 10 eligible appointees. I'm working with our health office, and it's a pretty exciting project. I'm funding that's going to allow our health department to obtain national public health accreditation status. In New Jersey, I believe there's only 5 other municipalities in the state with that status. It's very similar to what's required with the standards with the police department, but this is on a health level. So not too many municipalities have it. There's 565 in the state and only 5 have it. Hopefully Teaneck will be number 6, but we're seeking grant money to get that done. I reported last meeting that I sent a letter to New Jersey DOT to look at that intersection at Decatur and Alfred, for them to review it, evaluate it, make suggestions. I was asking for a stop sign at the northwest corner of Alfred and Decatur as well. That's under DOT control. They did get back to me, which is very encouraging. I received a letter from them that they're reviewing. They wanted some additional information about from us, site plans for the project on Alfred Avenue, but they will do their due diligence, look at the intersection, the ramp, the stop sign, and they're going to come back with some suggestions for us. And as soon as I hear something, I'll report back to council and the public. Recycling calendars were mailed out late December, early January. Hopefully everyone received it. If not, the clerk's office has several boxes that came in today. Please stop by, or you can certainly call and we'll mail one out to you. 62 of the new 70 Pella windows for the municipal building were installed. We're waiting for 8 more to be delivered, and we'll get that project done shortly. Fayum Park is 99% done. All the playground equipment, including the rubberized surface, was installed. We're just waiting for a few minor parts from the distributor before we can publicly open it. I appreciate everyone's patience. Nothing is easy with this COVID crisis and delivery of products and getting things done. Repairs, we did repairs to the Voti Park pedestrian crosswalk, I'm sorry, the overpass. We did some foundation work, and we also repaired some of the fencing. So that is up and running now again. Voti Park band shell foundation work is continuing this week. And I see Mr. Yuck in the front seat. I had a meeting with Mr. Yuck last Friday, and we discussed the status of the Bell Avenue drainage project. And as I mentioned, the box culvert should be delivered sometime the end of January, the beginning of February. There'll be a couple days of prep work done first, and that'll be followed by the installation of the box culvert, which should help with some of the flooding situation there until we get that retention tank put in Sagamore Park. The town, good news, town was awarded $134,000 to resurface Prospect Avenue and Arlington Avenue. That'll be done sometime next year. And even better news, we were awarded almost $250,000 from NJ DOT, and that's through the municipal aid grant to do the entire resurfacing of East Cedar Lane from Teaneck Road to Columbus Drive. So in total, in 2022, the town was awarded almost $1.6 million in grants. There's currently $4.247 million that's still pending. We're going to be completing a large sewer project on Julia Street. That's going to go out to bid soon. We're repairing the storm basins at Kip and Larch. I get a lot of emails and phone calls about that. That's being spec'd out by engineering. That will be done. With regards to lighting, I had a meeting actually with PSE&G this morning about lighting, and I reported on this, Mayor, about 2 years ago. PSE&G came up with a plan which was endorsed by Governor Murphy that went to the BPU to upgrade and get rid of these Cobra lighting carbon light fixtures all over the state of New Jersey. So it's been with, the plan has been with BPU for several years now. Again, this was reviewed with the governor. He approved it, gave it his endorsement, and it's been sitting for several years. So why in the world, you know, with the push on green energy, clean energy, that this is being held up, I don't know. So once that happens, once it is approved, our 84, I believe we have 84 Cobra heads with the carbon lights, they'll be replaced with new LED ones at no cost to the township. So I don't understand what's going on with the state and why the governor isn't pushing this with BPU. I don't know. I can't figure it out. We put in 2 credit card terminals for the Rec Pro system up at the Rota Center, and the staff is undergoing training as we speak, and residents will now be able to pay for any sort of services with the Recreation Department online very shortly. End of report.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mr. Attorney?
Mayor, no report other than what was discussed in the closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Mr. Clerk, again, because there are no ordinances, we're going to skip that. Go right into good and welfare and public input. Before I lay down the ground rules for good and welfare, does anyone on council want to say anything before we start?
Just one thing, I know we talk at the end, so I'm not going to make any comments now. We're starting a new year, and something we've had for the last few years. We grew up with the golden rule of treating others as you wanted to be treated. And that seemingly has slipped, not just in social media posts, but in council and people come up here or on Zoom. So I'd like just to ask everyone, both here in the town and on Zoom, when we talk here tonight, whether or not we agree or we disagree, we do it respectfully. And we start the year off on that note.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Councilman. Any members of the public wishing to be heard at this time shall come forward and state their names and whether they live in Teaneck for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. And then, Mr. Clerk, we're going to do in person and then Zoom, in person and then Zoom like we usually do, right? We're good to start? Anybody want to speak? Mr. Yep.
Dr. Philip Yup, Bell Avenue, Teaneck. I stand here before you today as a spokesperson for the vast majority of residents on Bell Avenue, Beatrice Street, and Esther Avenue, whose homes have suffered from flooding problems for decades as a result of poorly planned, inadequate, and antiquated drainage infrastructure. On September 1st, 2021, during the Hurricane Ida storm, our streets saw 3 to 4 feet of water that flooded and destroyed our finished basements and all of their contents, as well as destroying almost every car on the block. I personally estimated my loss at around $70,000. My finished basement that housed a recreation guest room and my office is currently a shell with half of the walls removed. Some homes had as much as 6 feet of water in their basements. My home had 15 inches as I went out into the raging storm to get rocks from my yard to hold towels against my basement door in order to stem the waterfall running down my basement steps. And the flooding and losses have continued to occur for some of us since as recently as a couple of weeks ago. I could give you more detail, but I think that's enough said. The Township of Teaneck has been aware of this problem for at least 60 years, and it is due to the township's negligence to remediate this problem that I stand before you today. I have in my hand a letter that I will give you from Helene Fall, municipal manager, dated January 7th, 2009, that proves in the very least that the township was aware of this problem in 2003. I am aware that there is proof going back 60 years. Despite having met with township officials multiple times over my 44 years as a Teaneck resident, my efforts were in vain. Nothing at all was done. We believe that the township is responsible to reimburse us for our losses due to its negligence to correct the drainage problems, and appeal to this council to approve that request and establish a means for us to settle our grievances without having to take legal action. On another note, the plan to remediate the flooding problem includes installing a culvert that is due later this month, and we're happy about that, installing a 90,000-gallon retention tank in the Beverly Road parking lot, and a 100,000-gallon tank in Sagamore Park. If the plan to construct an apartment building on that parking lot is going to be vacated, which we hope it will, I ask that the council approve that part of the project immediately. It can surely be done much sooner than it will take for the other retention tank for Sagamore Park to be approved by Green Acres, and will be another step in reducing the likelihood of our homes and vehicles ever suffering the destruction we have repeatedly experienced. Please get back to us ASAP with your response, and I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, we have someone on Zoom.
Yes, Mayor, we have one hand. We have a couple hands that just pop up. I'm bringing in Etan Harowitz. Etan Harowitz, please accept that invite. Turn your camera on if you wish. On mute. Please state your name for the record when you get on. Need to unmute and show your camera if you want.
Okay. Hi, My
Hi.
name is Emma Horowitz, if you can hear me. My son is Eitan, and I guess he's been messing with my Zoom, so I apologize for that. So I live on Palisade Avenue here in Teaneck. I've lived in Teaneck for about 10 years, and I work here as an English teacher at Mayanot Yeshiva High School for Girls. Firstly, I'd like to begin by thanking everyone on the Town Council for your service. I recognize that public service is not an easy calling, but it is one that I personally respect very much. I would briefly like to address the issue of cannabis dispensaries here in Teaneck, since it is on tonight's agenda. I look forward to the January 25th forum, where I will hopefully have the chance to speak in more detail along with many of my friends and neighbors. In the meantime, I ask that the Town Council take some issues into consideration when deciding whether or not the current zoning plan should be modified. There are states in our country that have had legalized marijuana for several years now. It is our duty to learn from these states and do our best to avoid making the mistakes that they have made. There are two primary areas of concern we must consider if we are to make any changes to the current zoning plan. The first is the effect on Teaneck's youth should we place a dispensary in a prominent location in our commercial districts, near our houses of worship, schools, and shopping areas. States like Colorado have seen a tremendous increase in marijuana uptake among high schoolers since they legalized it. Many students who have been surveyed report that they're smoking marijuana very regularly, many daily, and have no trouble accessing marijuana that was sold legally. We want to avoid this scenario as our children's brains develop a great deal during high school. Our students are facing an unprecedented mental health crisis as it is due to the pandemic, social media, and other factors. It is up to us as the adults in the room not to compound it by adding normalized and easily accessible marijuana into the equation. The second concern that we must mitigate is that of crime. Marijuana dispensaries are necessarily a cash-only business due to federal law. And again, states such as Colorado have seen an uptick in property crimes around dispensaries. Our residents deserve better than this. I look forward to expanding upon these thoughts on January 25th. I thank you for the opportunity to do so at that forum, and I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, anyone in person? Mr. Green?
Hi, my name is Darrell Green, Teaneck resident since 1976. I know on the agenda tonight, we're going to be talking about a street renaming or a street marker for our first African-American police officer, Lieutenant Freddie Green. I'd like to first of all welcome Mayor Pagan and the new council members. Congratulations on your success. I just want to say Freddie Green represented in our community policing, good policing. For those who knew Fred and grew up with him, you know, we've got many stories to tell of how he used to chase us during our teenage years when we'd ride our motorcycles, but he was the type of police officer who really cared. In fact, Freddie Green did not carry a firearm in his early years, and that was unheard of. The community loved Fred, and Fred loved his community, highly respected. He was the type of individual that would get involved. He would sit down and try to straighten things out before official police action was needed. So I ask that you approve the street marker for Freddie Green on Circle Driveway. And thank you. And, you know, that's basically it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Mr. Clerk, someone on Zoom?
Yes, Mayor, I am bringing in Shmuel S. Shmuel S., please state your name for the record when you're in. Please state your name for the record. Feel free to unmute your camera if you'd like. Hello.
Hi, my name is Shmuel Seawald. I live on Windsor Road. I'm joining regarding there is a crosswalk signal on State Street and Queen Anne Road. And it's a button you have to activate it. You have to press the button. I was wondering if it's possible that on Friday night and Saturday we can have that crosswalk automatically switch to say walk when it's safe to walk. I use that quite often, and I don't really, on Saturday, I don't press the button due to don't use electronics. So I was wondering if we can get that set up, that it will be safe. I know there's a lot of people that use that crosswalk as well. So it would be definitely helpful and much safer environment if we can get that set up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next in person, Mr. Leon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jesse Leon. I live on Warner Place. I think you all know why I'm here. I've been coming to these meetings now for about 2 years, although this is the first time I've actually gotten to stand in this chamber. So it was part of the reason why I wanted to come out tonight. I'll be brief. I emailed you all a draft proposal for legalizing backyard chickens in Teaneck. I urge you strongly to go ahead and pass that, to propose it, to pass it. We are in the midst of a national egg shortage. I was in Stop and Shop last week, and a dozen eggs was $5.19. And these weren't the premium grass-fed pasture-raised eggs. These were your normal factory farm eggs that probably aren't particularly good for you. So you can make it easy for residents to grow their own fresh, healthy eggs in their own backyards. That will be at a pretty minimal cost, especially when you factor in the entertainment cost of having a pet. And I urge you to do that. And I hope that you will listen to the other voices who will say the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Leon. Mr. Clerk, someone on Zoom?
Yes, I am bringing in Shulamite Schwell. Shulamite, please accept. Oh, there you are. Please state your name for the record. Show the camera if you'd like.
Hello.
What's up? Whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm Shulamit Shwell. I just wanted to show my support for legalizing chicken in Teaneck. I know we brought this topic up multiple times, and now that we have a new council, would like to discuss it again. And if there are any concerns or questions that people have, we would like to go over that. So just wanted to bring it up again, that I'm looking forward to have this council legalize chickens as pets. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, in the back, in the blue shirt.
Hello, my name is Hussein Halek. I live on Linden Avenue, 646 Linden Avenue. First, I'd like to congratulate the new council. And second, I'd also like to speak in favor of the chickens. I'm willing to gift a chick for you to raise if you vote yes for it. And that's a promise.
I have to counsel against that. It will be not against the chickens. I'm against the taking of the chick.
All right, never mind. How about, can I take some eggs if I, okay. Please vote yes, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, someone on Zoom next, please.
I have no hands on Zoom right now, Mayor.
Really? Chris in the back.
Thank you, and congrats to the new council members as well. Chris Brown, Bell Avenue. Just a reminder, our street, Bell Avenue between Beverly and Beatrice has a drainage problem that leads to chronic flooding, and I'm just going to keep saying that until that's not true anymore, and Phil is in on it as well. I'd like to acknowledge that Councilperson Schwartz, Orland, and now Mayor Pagan, congratulations, took the initiative to meet with my neighbors and I at TVAC a few weeks ago to discuss the Stop and Shop settlement. I also want to acknowledge that you three also met with Phil and I to discuss how to revitalize Cedar Lane, since that's also an important issue to the larger neighborhood, and revitalizing Cedar Lane and the Stop and Shop settlement are interrelated issues. There's a number of challenges with placing an apartment building on Beverly Road. For example, on Sundays, the lot is full from the church on Windsor. And if there's an apartment building on the site, it would be more convenient for church members to park on our street than in the proposed Garrison Avenue parking deck. And by the way, if that parking deck charges a fee, we'll have more people parking on our street in general. And our driveways only hold one car, so where do we park the second car? So it would make more sense for the lot to be free, but then the town is then maintaining a large expensive parking structure that replaces a parking lot that's documented as underutilized. And then the bigger challenge is that currently the large majority of my neighbors are really, really angry at the idea of an apartment building on the parking lot. Really can't understate that. They're not happy about it. All that said, if a 3-story apartment building, and I'm being specific in saying a 3-story building as opposed to the 5 stories, which is proposed in the concept plan, provides an opportunity for a developer to fix the drainage problem on our street, and there's a workable solution to the parking problem that the building creates, then we need to get focused and continue the conversation. But the reality is that there are challenges with building on the Beverly parking lot. And that's the same parking lot that's cited by Fast Tech as a solution to our drainage problem. So to cut to the chase, if there's majority support to develop on the lot, then we need to schedule more meetings. We need to bring in the architect, we need to show renderings and sell the project to the neighborhood. Otherwise, approve a contract for an engineer to design the retention tank on Beverly Road. There's no Green Acres issues with the parking lot. This town has neglected to fix the drainage problem for decades. Phil has the paperwork on it. It's time to get focused on fixing the drainage problem. I have 36 seconds. Dean, thank you for the pedestrian crosswalk on Cumberland. Really appreciate you following up on that. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, do you have anybody on Zoom?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm bringing in Margaret Baker.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Miss Baker. You have 3 minutes.
Margaret Baker, Teaneck resident. I'm calling to congratulate the 3 new council members and also the new mayor. I am so thankful. Thank you for offering to serve the community, the residents. I didn't attend the reorganization meeting. I was overwhelmed, but I wanted to let you know I am very thankful. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor Pagan. I have spoken to you as a council member in the past, and I really didn't get a reply. So I hope in the future that I will be able to communicate with you. One thing I ask of this council is to get together with the families, the residents that are affected by this building on Alfred Avenue. You left us out the whole process. The tension out here is really high. And I'm being asked as a Teaneck resident by the other 7 families of Inglewood that are affected, what's going on. I think there should be some kind of meeting with the families that are involved. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Senator Weinberg. Yes, I still call her Senator Weinberg. She was very helpful to us here on Decatur Avenue. I met her when I moved here from Germany in 1985. And what a coincidence. I met her at 1085 Decatur Avenue. We have discussed issues with her because we couldn't get the help from the council. I would consider her my mentor. And believe me, I've learned a lot.
Ms. Baker,
And I'm still learning.
Ms. Baker,
So thank you, Senator Weinberg. Thank you very much.
thank you, Ms. Baker. Thank you. Sir, in the front.
Thank you. I used to sit with you guys at one time, I'm former councilman, former health director, and a very old guy. And you know, there's a saying, you don't invite old people or young children to events because you never know what they're going to say. But I want to thank this council, my buddy Dylan, for honoring my friend Freddie Green, who was the first African-American police officer. Freddie never looked for special treatment. He just looked for a level playing field. And he could do it, he could manage without either. Freddie was a scholar. He was a three-sport athlete at Teaneck. He was one of the few African-American police soldiers in Army intelligence in the 50s. He was recommended to West Point. He was a special person. Former sheriff and Commissioner of Corrections Jack Tiyun said of Freddie that he changed the way policing is accomplished. He was the person who initiated community policing in Teaneck. So you're honoring a man of substance. But as a longtime friend, there are two qualities that Freddie had that you can't take a college course in: character and sensitivity to people. And I commend all of you for honoring Freddie. And I'm thankful to Mr. Darrell Green for facilitating it. I'm thankful to my best friend, John, to Freddie's accomplished son, Ricky, for getting me over here. Thank you so much.
What was your name, sir?
Leo Wilcox. Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, do we have a hand up on Zoom?
We have two hands, Mayor. I'm bringing in Jeffrey Kantowitz.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to address the council. I'll be brief. First of all, I'd like to thank the council, all its new members for your service. Public service is a high calling. I wish you all well. Secondly, I'd like to echo thanks and appreciation to the police members and first responders in this town. They are deserving of our thanks and our respect, and they should be hearing that on a daily basis. I want to offer a few comments about the cannabis discussion and echo some of the comments that Mrs. Horowitz made a few moments ago. I think it's terribly important to have this discussion. I appreciate that it's being conducted in an open forum with opportunities for public comment and input. To that end, I'll start off by simply recommending a very significant book titled "Tell Your Children: The Truth About Marijuana, Mental Illness, and Violence." It's by Alex Beretson, former investigative reporter with the New York Times. I took this volume out of the Teaneck Library tonight, and I would recommend all of you, both on the council and in the public, who want to be educated about cannabis, to take a read through this volume. I think you'll find it helpful and informative. To that end, there's no dearth of statistics and information elsewhere in different jurisdictions about the effects of cannabis, both societally and on children. And finally, I'll make one request. I believe that during Ms. Goldberg's subcommittee report, she mentioned that there was some zoning considerations given both individually and holistically, it would be helpful to learn what some of those thoughts or recommendations or ideas were prior to the January 25th town hall, so that those participating in that town hall can react to what's been presented with a few days' notice and information, as compared to simply hearing about those ideas at that committee level that night. With that, I thank you very much for your time and for your listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Lightburn?
Hello, Lightburn, Lightburn. I want to, are you going to start me now? Wait a minute. We didn't start yet. I just want, can I say congratulations off the top? Okay, congratulations, you guys. Congratulations to the new mayor and to the 3 council members. Okay, roll them. We recently sent a copy of the letter proposing that we recognize former Senator Loretta Weinberg by renaming Argonne Park in her honor. A committee was supposed to have formed to take up this matter. The reason I'm here tonight is because I wanted to clarify that the reason we're asking for a park is because of what she has done to the community and to the United States, for the United States. I think that personally, I think she's done more than we've named streets for barbers and we've named streets for groups that have never done anything for our community. So I'm asking, particularly with a group that are named, for you to, consider a park. The reason Argonne Park, we are asking to erect a historical marker of the original name and the veterans, so that the veterans are also included. And maybe I didn't make that clear the first time I came to the council. So I wanted to make it clear that it's not to change Argonne Park totally, it's to incorporate her name also. And I'm sure y'all can figure out a way to do it. Okay, now moving on. While I empathize with the chicken people, I would like to bring to your attention that right after the council voted no, there was a big outbreak, health outbreak in Long Island. Raleigh's Poultry Farm in Long Island they had to keep their birds quarantined because of an invisible threat, which was being circulated around dozens of birds, including the backyard flocks all over, because Long Island allows that. So a lot of the flocks. And if you go back on 3/13/22, you will see ABC Good Morning America show report on it's a variant flu cause and effect. And that is why we don't have the eggs now, because of a lot of the chickens had to be destroyed during that time. Also, go back to Willie Geist Sunday show 3/13/22. He also mentioned, did a whole story on what, even though people like the backyard chickens, there is a health risk to people. So I wanted to bring your attention to that. And if you remember the health inspector, is it health inspector or the health department? They weren't for it either because of the health reasons. So I know I don't like paying $5. In fact, we're not doing eggs anymore, but I want you to consider those facts, and that's
Thank
why
you,
I'm
Ms.
here.
Lightburn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Doug, do we have any hands up on Zoom?
I am bringing in Tracy Carcione. Feel free to correct my pronunciation, Tracy. Please unmute yourself. State your name for the record. Whenever you're ready, Tracy.
Am I here now? Hello?
Try to back away a little bit from your microphone.
How about this?
Yeah, that sounds good. Just speak clearly for us. You got 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Tracy Carcione. I'm a Teaneck resident living on Chestnut Avenue. I am blind and I don't drive, so I really appreciate these Zoom meetings. Before in the before times, when I would go to a council meeting, I'd have to get a ride because I'm not going to walk back late at night more than a mile to get home. I don't think that's very safe. But I have a heck of a time finding the Zoom information. I've never found an agenda for the council meetings, and I've struggled every time to find the Zoom information, and today I couldn't find it at all. It was a good thing that Paula Rogovan was looking at her email, and when I asked her for it, she had it. But I don't know if it's hidden from Google or I'm like, I'm not a total fool, but I wish it was easier to find the agenda so I could look at it and to find the Zoom information. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. If you're ever looking for the agenda for our council meetings, feel free to email me, your town clerk, at clerk@teanecknj.gov, and we will show you where to find the answer.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Mr. Schwartz.
Ron Schwartz, Larch Avenue, Teaneck, New Jersey. Good evening, everybody. Democracy has had a really good 14 months in the Township of Teaneck. In November of 2022, the voters of this township passed a referendum moving the municipal council election from low turnout in May to high turnout in November. In November of 2023, the approval of that referendum, which went approved by the voters by more than a 2-to-1 vote.
It was 21 and 22. 21 and 22.
In 21, that's right. I'm sorry. The approval of the referendum was in 21. Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome.
By more than a 2-to-1 vote. And that resulted in November of 2022, November 8th, more than doubling of the electorate. And it also resulted last week in a town councilor, in my view, became more reflective of the township as a whole. And for the first time in its history, not only had a 4-women majority, but also elected a Hispanic mayor, Mr. Bigon, for the first time. So democracy is alive and well in Teaneck, but it needs to continue. We've had some good first steps. I want to congratulate the council for determining to have a public forum, town hall on the cannabis issue. It should have been done a little while ago, but it's being done. And the township will be welcomed and will be heard in that township forum this month. But I want to urge you also to consider having another town hall. The next one should be, we should have a number of these so that the public can attend and give their views. We should have a town hall on redevelopment in this town. We should have a town hall on the issue of the constant use of the area in need of redevelopment designation as a way of pursuing redevelopment, which does not give enough input to public, in my view. That should be the next town hall. I also want to indicate, thank you for putting on this agenda. It's going to be voted on in the next council meeting, the opening up of the advisory boards to public input. I think that's a step that increases democracy in Teaneck. I want to congratulate you for moving democracy forward, but keep you aware of the fact that democracy has to live every month. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Do you have another hand on Zoom, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. Bringing in Joan. Joan, please say your name for the record when you get in, please. I do not want to mess up your last name. Please accept that invitation. Feel free to unmute. Yes, Joan, you are being selected. You need to accept that invitation to talk. Hi, Joan. Thank you for joining us. Please unmute to state your name for the record. Joan, one more try. Please state your name for the record. Unmute. If not, we will come back to you.
Joan Guadagnino.
Joan, nice to hear from you.
Sorry about that. Little technical problems there. Just wanted to go quickly. I know you mentioned you're going off quickly about cannabis, and there's a town hall meeting on the 25th. You mentioned something about a questionnaire. When will that questionnaire be going out? And also about an application. Do you know when those time frames will be happening?
Ma'am, you have 3 minutes and we'll be answering your questions at the end of Good and Welfare. But you will get some answers tonight.
I'm sorry?
We're going to answer your questions at the end of Good and Welfare. So during Good and Welfare, all the residents get to speak, and then at the end of Good and Welfare, council members will respond. So if you're willing to stay on this meeting, on the Zoom meeting for a little while longer, your questions will be answered.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
The lady in the back. Oh. Okay, okay.
Hi, my name is Lisa Schwartz, 698 Larch Avenue. And I just want to address the issue of development in town. A couple of people have addressed different areas, Alfred Avenue, Stop and Shop area, a number of other areas that have been developed. I thank you for starting forums in the town and town halls. I would like to again request that the next one be on development. I think it's a crucial issue. But I also would like to ask the council, if they have the power to do so, to stop the use of AINRs in Teaneck. Because what I've read, a little bit I know about AINRs, I don't see any area of Teaneck fitting that criteria. I don't see any blighted areas. And secondly, there's no public bidding for developers to come in, which I think is terrible. There's no ability for public input from the residents so that we can be heard at what we feel this town should look like. So I really want to urge this council to stop the use of AINRs, have forums, public town halls to discuss what we want our town to look like. I think it's a crucial issue. On the issue of cannabis, I just want to put my 2 cents in because we've heard something. I am totally in favor of dispensaries. I'd like to see one on Cedar Lane. I, for one, go to dispensaries. I drive up to Massachusetts. I go to Great Barrington. I think they are safe. Many people use cannabis for all sorts of reasons, to help with sleep, to help with anxiety. And I think it would be great to have regulated dispensaries in our town. So I just wanted to speak to that issue. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Clerk, no hands? The lady in the back, did you want to speak?
Kate Davis. I am a Teaneck resident. I think we're all aware of the metaphor that one single candle can light 100 others without diminishing its own flame or losing any of its power. I just want to recognize Councilman Mark Schwartz, who I think exemplifies that in the life he's built here in Teaneck, whether it's his years serving as councilman or deputy mayor, saving lives for TVAC, volunteering for the multitudes of nonprofits that he works tirelessly for each and every day, or for the volunteer fire department in River Edge, which I know is technically extinguishing flames. Still, the metaphor stands that Mark Schwartz seeks out people who he can help, flames he can ignite. And I beseech this council that over the course of your term, you don't diminish each other's flames, that you all come together to create a light in Teaneck that will be all the brighter if you all work together. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Clerk, do we have anyone on Zoom, or should we keep going in person?
No hands on Zoom.
On Zoom. The gentleman in the back also with the glasses?
Good evening, David Koshar, Englewood resident. I'm one of the operating partners for Galaxy Express. We're seeking to open our cannabis dispensary here in Teaneck. First, I would like to offer my congratulations to the new members of the council. Thank you to both the new and continuing members for working with us as we try to open our business here in town. And as we continue the overall discussion about legal cannabis in Teaneck. My partner, Sebastian, who's the license holder, and I've been attending these meetings regularly for the past year in an effort to start a dialogue and to meet with the subcommittees regarding opening our dispensary. We look forward to the panel on January 25th and hopefully to the upcoming expansions of zoning. Over 70% of Teaneck voted yes to opening a dispensary in town. I live right off of Route 4 and I often drive past the Ascend in Fort Lee or Rise in Paramus. I'm sure that many of their customers come from Teaneck and the surrounding area. We're looking to open a local small business that can benefit the town with tax revenue, employ local residents, and expand with a local team. We've been reviewing and proposing potential locations to the council, but due to zoning restrictions, we've been unable to complete the last step that would permit us to open in town. The initially zoned area on Alfred Avenue, we feel is not conducive to opening our business, nor is it an area of town that we feel a dispensary would add value. We've been looking at locations that would enable us to operate successfully, and we would like to review our current plans in more detail with the cannabis and zoning subcommittees as we approach the January 25th discussion. There have been stories in the past year about shops selling cannabis illegally without proper licensing. This is the type of activity that with a fully licensed and secure facility, we'll be able to counteract and conduct our business in a way the town can trust. My professional background is in safety and compliance, and that'll be a top priority in our business. I would like to clarify that what we seek to accomplish in the immediate future is that we have a few properties in town we believe are worthy of consideration for a cannabis business location. We're close to offers with documents in hand that are submitted, but all of this is pending zoning. Again, as a social equity business, my partner and I have not been able to secure site control on the one property on Alfred Avenue that is zoned. We would like to share our plans and our intentions with the council so that we can pursue a tangible real estate deal. Until zoning is clarified, we can't finalize a transaction. And so we're relying on the guidance of the council to determine exactly where we can open. Thank you for your time. I look forward to continuing the discussion on January 25th.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, anybody on Zoom?
I am bringing in Michael Rockland.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. You have 3 minutes.
Great. I wanted to thank the council and welcome the new council people. I'm here today because I want to support the people who have come out and talking about chickens. I think chickens are really one of these things that we've spoken about in this town and in this country and in this state for a very long time. I think they make our town a better place to live. I know change is difficult, change is hard. Sometimes we have this conception of suburbia as this place that's not a city, a place that's not a farm, it's not a rural area, but we can take the best parts of urban settings, of rural settings, and we can bring it to our town. I think that that's the best way to move it forward. And I think chickens are going to be a great impact on our community. I think that building more apartments like the one that I'm lucky enough to live in this town where I grew up and have spent pretty much my entire life, I think that's another great way to bring the best of other forms of living into this town. I think that making it easier to walk around, to walk to our shops, to bike to our shops, to think about people who may not be able to drive due to health conditions or other reasons. I think all of these are things that we can do. Change is hard, but let's start with chickens. Let's start with improving our town and look forward to everything we do in the coming years. Thank you.
Up a little bit over there. Mr. Rockland, it looks like you were dropped, sir. I paused your clock.
I'm all good. I'm all done. Thanks.
There you go. All right, thank you, Mr. Rockland.
Thank you, sir. The gentleman in the back.
Hello, my name is Sebastian Castillo, local resident and cannabis license holder. I'm gonna go ahead and give out my phone number to everybody. Don't know how that's gonna go, but it's 201-952-0794. That's 201-952-0794. I encourage you to call me if you have any questions about cannabis in Teaneck as we move towards the forum on the 25th. A few quick points on that. I do want to mention, I think it's awesome that we have a public forum on cannabis. I also echo similar sentiments that I feel that a public forum on the development on Alfred Ave should also be next on the agenda. And I really hope that this conversation about cannabis can actually mature and advance prior to the conversation on the 25th, because a lot of people already have developed opinions and thoughts about this. And we kind of want to take the conversation in a progressive direction. So, I want to thank the council for working with me on a cannabis, which is what I come here most frequently about. I've approached multiple locations in town that might be suitable for cannabis retail. We have locations and deals actively on the table, but they're not going to go anywhere until the town makes a decision on where it wants to put cannabis in town and post the forum. The locations I'm proposing are very well thought out. They're away from houses of worship, away from any schools, and still connected to the town's business districts, so the town can benefit from the economic energy this will bring. If we don't get open here in Teaneck, all of us local license holders are going to be forced to look to other municipalities in which we are outsiders. Many other municipalities are working with local operators of their own already, helping them get open. This is our home, so please consider providing us with a real path to open, and in the spirit of social equity, and where the majority of townspeople voted to have this in town. Without expanding the zone, the dream of social equity for cannabis may die here. I stand before you, a local operator, ready to build a local team and support everything local. I'm proposing a modest-sized business that would be run by myself, and I think this is a logical and progressive step to step into cannabis for Teaneck. We'll be active on the forum on the 25th. And as I've been showing up to pretty much every town meeting, I will continue to do so. I'd like to make myself available to the townspeople. I also have a very easy to remember email, should have said it in the beginning, 201sebastian@gmail.com. Contact me in regards to cannabis, and I would love to work closely with some of the other subcommittees in regards to getting some sort of public survey or public questionnaire out there, so that the conversation on the 25th can be well developed and include everybody. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Mr. Clerk, do we have anybody on Zoom?
No hands right now, Mayor.
The lady in the back.
Good evening. My name is Tony Nayowitz. I'm a Teaneck resident since 1959. I'm a Teaneck business owner since 1974. So I think you understand I have a vested interest in the welfare of the town. My business is on Cedar Lane, and I have seen Cedar Lane in recent years devolve into something that looks like a very depressed area. I'm sorry to say that. I remember years ago when it was a very vibrant business district. It's a main thoroughfare. And it's one of the iconic streets in Bergen County, as well as in Teaneck itself. It's also a major cross street when Route 4 is backed up and other venues are backed up. So we get a lot of visibility, not only from Teaneck residents, but from people outside Teaneck. And I think it deserves the attention of everyone here on the bench to see what you can do to improve the facades of the buildings on Cedar Lane, to address the extensive and continual empty businesses. We just had Bischoff's close last week. It adds one more to the list, and you're losing tax revenue. you're losing confidence by the town, by the residents. And it just doesn't speak well for a town that at one time was a very vibrant and important community. And I think the residents here in town deserve better than what Cedar Lane offers them. I really do.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Clerk, do we have anybody on Zoom? Mr. Organ?
Good evening, Eric Organ, Township resident. A really close friend sent me a text message a little earlier ago asking why I'm sitting here punishing myself. And I've got to say, I've been a resident of this town since 1999. I usually find it to be the best, well, 4 or 5 hours lately of TV watching these council meetings. For years, I've been able to sit on my couch and watch these with my wife. The last 2 years, we get to watch her on TV instead. But often I get to sit on my couch with my dog and my kids and watch what's going on. There are many people in town who are exactly like me. We are not vocal, but we sit, we watch, we know, we vote, and we see what's going on. To Mark Schwartz. Over the past many years, I have seen lies and hate speech aimed at you. And regardless of what's been said by people who really have no idea what they're talking about, you continue to smile and you continue to serve and to help all of the residents, even those who hate you and who are detractors. You are a true model of selflessness. I've never been prouder of you. Not only as one of my closest friends, but really my brother from another mother. I'll always have your back, and you are my ride or die. Mr. Clerk, I think I owned that suit in the 1980s, so keep wearing it. It looks good. Sorry, I have the stage, right? And finally, maybe we can come to a compromise with the chickens, and let's just raise chickens that are fed cannabis, and everybody will just be happy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Organ. Mr. Clerk, do we have anyone on Zoom? The lady in the red hat?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard. Glad to see all the new electees.
Ma'am, your name for the
and
record,
I'm
please.
Shay Carol Jones. I've been a resident of Teaneck since 1974. My parents bought their first home here on Teaneck Road. I have some pictures here that I took of around the Armory. I live on Irvington Road, a couple of blocks before the Armory. And I want to talk to you guys about a couple of incidents. Over the past 2 years, there was a poison ivy problem at the Armory. And I am a 9/11 first responder disabled. I have service dogs and I walk my service dogs near the Armory. In August of 2020, I was walking my service dogs near the Armory and was confronted by poison ivy. And it hit me, being so very tall, it hit me, it was growing over the fence of the Armory and over the walk and it connected itself to one of the trees. And my service dogs went through it and tried to, like I said, kind of pull. I didn't know it was poison ivy. My son told me, okay, afterwards, and I contracted it, and so did my service dogs. I had to pay $400 for my service dogs to be treated for poison ivy and myself to receive, medical treatment in August of 2020. I spoke to Mr. Kaczynski at that time, and they did correct the problem, I want to say. But there is an ongoing problem, which I find that needs to be a long-term solution to. 10 days ago, walking my service dogs, my husband and I and my son, walking our service dogs by the armory one morning. To my two service dogs picked up a used condom and a piece of glass with blood on it. In a panic, I tried to pry the objects out of their mouths, and I cut my hand trying to get the glass out of it. So I don't know if the blood was from my dog's mouth or, from that was already on the piece of glass. I took the dog over to the vet because the dog isn't eating and the dog is not going to the bathroom. And I was worried that, it might have been something in the picking up of the piece of glass or the used condom that may have been triggering, and they're running tests on them now. I've over 8 years, I have cleaned the armory and it's around the armory, the perimeter around the armory, countless times. I'm sure all the houses and the neighbors that live across the street from the armory on Ward's Plaza must know me because I'm sort
Thank
of, almost 6 feet tall, kind of hard to miss.
Thank you, ma'am.
With a rake. I just wanted to say that we need a long-term solution because I spoke to the Armory's Paul Rumsfeld
Miss-
and he said it's
Miss, your
Teaneck's
time is up.
problem.
Your time
I'm
is up,
sorry.
but we'll address you.
Yes,
Yeah.
I hope that someone can address that
We're gonna
problem
help.
from there to Teaneck Road.
We're gonna help,
Filth,
ma'am.
Filth.
We're gonna help.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for bringing that to our attention. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody on Zoom?
I'm bringing in Raisy. Please state your name for the record. Raisy. We are picking Raisy. Maybe that's not your name. All right, I have another hand on Zoom. I'm bringing in Karan G.
Good evening, everybody. Kawan G, Teaneck resident. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, I'll be brief. I just wanted to follow up on the AED presentation done by the Youth Advisory Board at the December council meeting as one of their adult advisors. Unfortunately, roughly 2 weeks after that presentation, many of us watched as Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin took a hit and had to be resuscitated on live TV. Many have said that without the swift action of the first responders and the use of an AED that night, he might not be here today. If that didn't hammer the point home that the students were trying to make, I don't know what will. So additionally, I just want to ask that moving forward, that you include the students in the process of implementation. I think that would be a great learning experience for them and only fair given that they brought it to everyone's attention. I acknowledge that there are probably some things that we need to work through, including, concerns about securing the devices and, some other things. But I think that, they have some valuable input on that. They've already actually done some research on how they've been secured and successfully implemented in other towns. And I think that they would appreciate a seat at the table. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you guys all for listening. And if you have any updates, I would appreciate it at the end of Good and Welfare. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir.
Ari Davis, Teaneck resident. I've known and been friends with Mark Schwartz since I moved to Teaneck about 12 years ago. Mark is a doer and has been so even before his town council days. Both Mark and his wife Nomi are dedicated to this town and helping their friends and neighbors. One of my favorite Mark stories is that a few years ago, we were doing construction in our house and needed to go before the BOA for a variance. When we were finally able to go before the BOA, I received an email from the architect who had forgotten that the BOA meeting was that night and that he was on vacation, followed quickly by a call from the town notifying us that we were being bumped from the calendar because our architect was not going to be present. Within 10 minutes of letting Mark know what had happened, I received another call from the township letting me know that we were indeed back on the calendar. Mark didn't provide false promises or give a politician type answer. He just took care of the issue, which is a type of public servant that he is. One of the most exemplary things I can say about Mark is that this type of story can probably be repeated by a wide variety of residents in town, whether or not they knew Mark previously. It does not matter whether the person is Jewish, Muslim, white, black, or even a resident of Teaneck. Mark makes himself available to anyone needing assistance. His public offers of letting anyone use his office space in Hackensack in a pinch are not a show, but typify the essence of Mark's character. Last Monday, January 2nd, I was chatting with Mark in the morning and asking him about his plans for that day. He told me that he was going to be meeting with some of the Rise for Teaneck members just to make sure that no funny business would occur the following evening at the reorg meeting. Mark, as well as the synagogue that we belong to, Shari Tefillah, had invited Mark's family and friends to celebrate his upcoming becoming mayor. Mark had told me on a couple of recent occasions that the entirety of town council had all expressly agreed to vote for him as mayor, and there was an agreement to turn over the reins after 1 year. 1 hour before the reorg meeting, I messaged Mark expressing my regret for not being able to make the meeting since I was stuck at work, and I wished good luck to Mr. Mayor. In a move that would have drawn accolades from George Santos and Benedict Arnold, little did Mark know that the town council would turn on him and align themselves with the majority, in essence, the electorate, and turn on Mark. Where do we go from here? How do we get past the current situation where many people in town feel that Mr. Began is #NotMyMayor? While no one is claiming there was anything illegal done by Mr. Began or the Rise for Teaneck slate, or that the council vote should be reversed. In fact, if you read and hear from other members of town, this is politics and we should deal with it, and everyone should move on. After hearing complaints like this for a number of years, the pungent smell of hypocrisy is overwhelming. This was not politics. This was Mark being publicly embarrassed in front of his family, friends, and township members who came to the reorg meeting. We could have had the exact same result by giving Mark a 24-hour warning, 12-hour warning, even a 2-hour warning that everybody was turning on Mark so that he could have at least alerted his numerous supporters not to show up. That would have been politics that we all could have understood, even if we did not agree to it. I stand before you this meeting with a challenge to the Rise for Teaneck crowd and Mr. Began. I challenge you to publicly apologize to Mark for the embarrassment that was caused to him. I know that we will all work together, and I turn to you and ask you to do the right thing, give a public apology, and let us all move on together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, do you have anyone on Zoom?
Bringing in Michael Platsky. Bringing in Michael Platsky. Bringing in Michael Platsky. Please unmute yourself whenever you're ready, Michael Platsky.
Can you hear me?
Michael Klatsky.
All right, Mr. Clerk, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You have 3 minutes, Mike.
Excellent. Okay, good evening. Good evening, new council of Teaneck. Good evening, everyone who's taken the journey to come to the town hall chambers tonight. I know that all of you have taken time out of your busy days, especially the new members of the council who are, you're all volunteering time from your busy families and your busy lives to go and help the town. I know that the compensation for this job is very minimal. You're basically volunteers who are volunteering through punching bags. So kudos to all of you. And to the 4 women on the council, I just want to let you know I look up to you. I have 2 daughters. One of them is in preschool and is known as the the most athletic kid in the class, the one who basically is all the boys. And I hope she can be like some of you in one day. And it's really fantastic what you've all been able to accomplish. Now tonight, I want to touch on a couple of things. A lot of folks have a lot of misinformation about, whether it's cannabis, revitalization, rezonings, all kinds of things. I hope that the board takes a hard look and undertakes a really thorough research hard look at all these items, because, as anyone who talks about the cannabis issue will immediately find that the state basically created a system where if the local municipality does not undertake their own zoning to permit this, the state will basically create delivery and the town gets left with 0. That means that you get no sales tax sharing, you get no revenue, no tax sharing, nothing. You get 0. But what you do get is that you still get all the cannabis to all your residents. So the question is, do you want a piece of the pie or do you not want a piece of the pie? Our Honorable Governor Phil Murphy today, during the State of the Union address, he discussed the complete overhaul of the alcohol through the ABC, where the caps based off of population for liquor licenses will be eliminated slowly, 10% a year over the next 5 years, and then completely eliminated, with the opportunity for municipalities to opt into this to share taxes. I recommend that this council take the time to look at a new zone, a new proposed zone that doesn't exist at all, that perhaps will be a new cannabis alcohol zone to permit all new places, and take a hard look where you want them, where you want these new liquor stores to be, because if those liquor license laws are modified, you'll have the same number of cannabis licensees looking to find new locations. So wherever you're okay with having someone sell beer should be the same place you're okay with selling marijuana. That's part one. Part two is that over the past couple of years, maybe the past decade even, we've taken a haphazard approach to safety. We've seen, crosswalks put in here, flashing lights put in there, pedestrian ramps over here. I recommend that instead of doing this, that there be an advisory board established to provide the council with basically intel on where the needs are the greatest, because you're at the end of the day, you're all volunteers, the public employees who work hard for the town. I mean, they work on call. They don't necessarily have to.
Your time is up, Mr. Klatsky.
Okay, I'll hurry up. And that you start that the create.
Mr. Klatsky.
So, Mr. Klatsky, any unfinished business, please feel free to email me, clerk@teaneck.gov. I'll be sure council.
The gentleman in the back.
Good evening, Dwayne Harley, Teaneck resident. I want to say thanks and congratulations to all the council members who were elected, and also to the mayor. I do have a cannabis question. My question is the applicants, the equity applicants, how are we ensuring the priority of the applicants, the equity applicants, the ones who've been maybe convicted of marijuana before, if they apply for a marijuana or cannabis license or to do business in Teaneck. My understanding is that they're supposed to have a priority with respect to doing business in the space. So what are we doing to ensure that these applicants are going to be prioritized? And secondly, I also live on Bogan Street in Teaneck, and I think we need to get a stop sign on Alicia Avenue and Bogan Street. Bogan Street runs east and west, and Alicia is run next to it, north and south. On the corner, there's no stop sign, and it's cars that just zoom past through that street consistently all day. There's a lot of kids walk from Teaneck High School through there. There's a bus stop for elementary kids that are there. Sometimes when there's cars that are parked on Bogan Street, it obstructs visibility of cars that are trying to make the left or the right onto Bogan Street. So you may not be able to see someone walking right there on the street if you're just driving through. So I think for safety purposes, if we can just maybe get someone to look at that, to have a stop sign come out there and be placed on the corner. And I think that's all I got. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Doug, do we have anybody on Zoom?
Rozzy. There you are. Please pronounce your name for the record.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Razy Goldsmith. I am a Teaneck resident, and I would just like to briefly state my support for Teaneck residents who wish to have chickens, who are quiet, peaceful, and should pose no problem to our neighbors. And also my support that Teaneck be a place that mindfully supports cannabis and does not restrict its sale. And that's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Wilson?
Good evening, Gloria Wilson, Teaneck, New Jersey resident for 38 years. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of you on the council. I'm hoping that we continue with good communication and transparency. But one thing I like to hinge on, I'm a person that doesn't like a lot of backstabbing or talking about each other. We don't know what goes on in the back when you have your council meetings. What goes on there should stay there. as long as you're coming out in the public and giving the community the right of the transparency and things that they know. My kids had begged me one time to go on Facebook, and I said I didn't want to go on Facebook because I had a nephew that was killed through Facebook. A lot of stuff that people put on about individuals. And Mark, I know you through working with different things. I don't know your personality and background. I can't answer for what goes on behind closed doors when you guys have your council meeting. But I think it is very unfair to you as well as the community for us to have to hear what is going on, what is promised or whatever. When I voted for the people that are sitting up there on the council to do the right thing for the community. I didn't vote for who's going to be the mayor, who's going to be this or that. That is behind closed doors. A lot of times that's why we need to go back to look at who becomes a mayor. Maybe it should be by the ones that are voted upon that gets the most votes and so on. The other thing is that I like to say is that I've noticed something and I don't want to see it happen. Before, when we had our previous mayor, and I will call his name, Muhammad Adud, and we were very close. You know, your body language tells a lot when you're sitting up there on that podium. I worked for the county for 40 years, and I took a lot of courses in body language. If you don't want to be there, then don't come up, give up your seat. But if you don't want to hear what people have to say, don't turn your head, scratch your back, get up, whatever, because you're here for us. We put you there. The same way we put you there, you can come down. 2 years comes very, very fast. Respect is what we ask for. Transparency is what we ask for. No, all of us can't sit there when we vote, but we have to accept. When we lose something, we have to accept it. I am not saying that people shouldn't put people down. I am not saying that friends should not speak up for friends. But like I said, we don't know what goes behind those doors. The other thing before my time is up, I didn't get a chance the other night at the reorganization, Dean, but I want to personally thank you for all that you do for Teaneck. You've always been very understanding. Your door has always been open, and I don't hear that many people recognize you. So I recognize you. The people on my block, Ms. Lewis is here. We recognize the things that you do for us. So I want to give the respect for that. And last but least, please don't forget Senator Weinberg. Whether you name a park at her, there's a library, there's a lot of different things. Please continue. There's people have been coming up. Laverne Lightburn has brought it up several times. Remember that. And thank you for speaking and continue to give us the respect that we need so we can continue to give you the respect that you deserve.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Do we have anybody on Zoom? Nobody on Zoom? There's nobody on Zoom. Ms. Rogovan?
Hi, Paula Rogovan, Teaneck resident. Congratulations to council members, Mayor Michael Pagan. I have a couple of topics I want to speak about. One is I sent all of you a letter from the Don't Gas the Meadowlands Coalition asking you to individually sign on to a letter opposing the New Jersey Transit power plant, which would be in Kearney and which would pollute the whole region. And I know the council years ago took a stand against the Meadowlands power plant, which would have been in North Bergen, and we stopped that plant. So it's really important that you take a stand on that. I saw somewhere on the agenda, there's the purchase of some sanitation vehicles. And I'd like to encourage Teaneck to keep buying vehicles that do not use diesel or gas, that are renewable energy, that are or at least hybrid. I don't know about the vehicles that are on the agenda tonight, the sanitation trucks, but I hope that more and more vehicles will be good for the environment. I wanted to speak about the topic I've spoken about several times before, the areas in need of redevelopment. As you know, many voters were upset about the AILRs. Previously, the town council let municipal parking lots, or the town let municipal parking lots the Stop and Shop across from Stop and Shop and the farmers market parking lot, let them get run down. Then those areas would declared areas in need of redevelopment that would be given to contractors for their profit. Large apartment complexes and a for-pay parking lot would fill the spaces. There'd be more pollution, more traffic, more congestion, parking nightmares, and more. On State Street, instead of listening to the concerns of hundreds and hundreds of residents over time about development on State Street, residents were basically ignored. And that's what we in the southwest area of Teaneck feel is happening in our area. These projects are being railroaded with with no real participation by residents. This is not what we want. This is not what residents want. We call on this new council to walk back the AINRs. We're not anti-development, but don't use the AINR process anymore. And the idea of having forums, public forums, where we can actually talk about these issues and discuss them, that's what we need.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you. Lady in the front.
I'm Margot Kagan. I'm a resident of Teaneck only for a few years. I've been here 6 years, that's it. I wasn't going to speak, but there's two things that I know about intimately. One is cannabis, as I have used it medicinally. I am sick with cancer and I suffer a lot of pain. And when I was using it during cancer treatment, I had to travel very far. It was prior to it being legalized in the state. So I had to go really far to get the type of marijuana that I needed for pain management. And it made it livable. It made it so that I could survive. Now it's been recommended to me again because I'm having trouble again. My cancer has come back and it causes a lot of issues, not just physical ones. There's anxiety and depression and all of these other things that happen. And cannabis is a medicinal plant. It is. You know, it's not, when you go to these places, it's not like a seamy little, you know, drugstore, you know, like, oh, it's, you know, guys hiding. It's nice and beautiful and there are plants and paintings on the wall. And, you know, it's a very nice professional thing. That's all I have to say about that. The other thing that I know a lot about is I grew up with chickens. We had lots and lots of chickens where I grew up. And chickens are not sweet and nice and, you know, they're nasty little birds. And if not taken care of properly, exactly properly, they do cause disease and they do smell. I hate to say it, they smell. And it's one thing where I used to live, the minimum plot for a home was an acre. So you're not going to smell the chicken in your neighbor's yard. Here, it's one driveway to my neighbor. You know, I got neighbors that the noise, you know, I can tell you what brand of paper towel they use because I can see it through their window. The chicken in the yard, I'm going to hear all night. You know, I'm going to hear that bird. And where there are chickens, often there are roosters, which you don't want in town because the whole town will hear it. So I say no on the chickens. I know that makes me an evildoer. I'm not anti-animal. I'm not anti-pet, but their houses are too close together for chickens. I'm sorry. That's just, it's the facts of it. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Cohen?
Cohen, Teaneck resident and planning board member. I moved to Teaneck in 1977 with my parents. Apparently, I'm nowhere near the oldest resident in this chamber, and I've raised my family here. And I've watched a bunch of meetings on Zoom, but I don't think I've ever been to one in person. And I wasn't sure if I was going to speak tonight, but I wanted to share some observations. First of all, it was amazing that we started tonight with showing recognition to our police officers, and there wasn't a single negative feeling towards them. And I think that should go, we should celebrate that we have a town where we have a great police force and a community that supports them. Something that definitely can't be taken for granted nowadays. Also, we only seem to have 3 issues in Teaneck: chicken, pot, and development. So that's great. I mean, it's only 3 items, and you guys could probably. Oh, we do. Yeah. Yes, and the dogs with the poison ivy. Yes, but I have to say, and being on the planning board, and I have full respect for the members that are concerned about things that are in their backyard, and they have every right to. And I imagine that if something were happening in my backyard, I'd be just as interested in the developments. But as a member of the planning board, and even more so as members of the council, your duties are to the town and to oversee everything that's going to happen for the town. And I just wanted to make one point. Over the years, I've gotten to know members of the council, especially since I joined the planning board and the environmental commission. And I have had the opportunity, in particular, one of the most moving opportunities was to go on a walk through town with Councilman Mark Schwartz, Councilwoman Karen Organ, and I believe Councilman Katz joined us for part of it. And this was not a walk to, it was just a walk to observe and to hear from members of the community. And we have one member, Mark Schwartz, does that all the time. And takes those calls. And I know that when I've reached out to him, his responsiveness is as if I were making $1 million deal with him. And I think that's something that we can all learn from. And when I look around this room and I see the diversity, not just in the room, but practically by row, we should respect what Teaneck is. And I've been here for a long time. It's an amazing town. And there's a lot we can learn from each other. And we should listen to each other and keep things civil, which has been wonderful this evening, but the lessons that I've learned from Councilman Schwartz in terms of going out and hearing from people that agree with him and people that don't agree with him and being responsive is a lesson that we should all learn from. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Mr. Okayani.
Good evening, Yasina Karyani, Teaneck. First, as your chair of the Advisory Board on Community Relations, thank you for approving my request to have members of the public at my meeting. But now, as a resident, a lot of people have spoken in support of Mr. Schwartz, and I cannot follow suit. I am here to roast him in front of his community. Mark J. Schwartz's eyes are so squinty. I think he's constantly constipated, but that's not true. That's the result of thousands of sleepless nights of support to the communities. He's a volunteer firefighter. He volunteered for the ambulance corps in Teaneck. He coached baseball, he coached soccer. And with all due respect to my fellow public servants here, he's the most responsive out of all of us. Somebody made a comment about probably hinting that the way Mr. Schwartz sits is not appropriate. You folks don't get it. It's not a matter of being rude or he doesn't want to be here. His spine is shaped like the letter C. Mark Schwartz's favorite dance is the YMCA. That's why he sits the way he sits. And it's C for cut taxes, C for construction, C for coming soon, yes to chickens, and C for can't speak fast enough. When Mark Schwartz ends his career in politics, he's going to sign up to read the disclaimers on radio ads. This device is not approved by the FDA, and side effects include blah, 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 whatever it is. But on a very serious note, I'm here to say, you know what, thank you for what you do for us. And I hope everybody here is proud of you. I'm sure they are members of your community. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. And I hope that some of them here, some of the people in the room will be inspired by your energy, your dedication, your intelligence so that they can serve further. And I would like to thank you for being honorable men in an era where honor and morals are scarce commodities. And thank you, everybody, for serving us. Have a good night.
Thank you, Racine. Sir in the back.
Great night, everyone. Shay Lewis, advisor to the Youth Advisory Board. Just following up on Mr. G's comments earlier for our students' presentation at the December 13th council meeting. We look forward to working with the council and any other entities that are available to assist with the proposal for the AED deployment and also research that was presented by our students to council, and also to echo Mr. G's comments as far as hopefully the students can be included in whatever capacity that can happen in a deliberation and or further research towards the deployment of these devices for the safety of the athletic community and the greater community as well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have someone on Zoom, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, I'm bringing in Hildy Dillon. Hildy Dillon.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hildy Dillon, and I've been a resident of Teaneck for 36 years. Two things. I wanted to congratulate our new council members and our new mayor. I appreciate all the sentiments in the room. That's what makes Teaneck Teaneck. We all have diverse opinions, but the electorate spoke. And I think that what we are excited about is that we will have more transparency. I'm really looking forward to the forum on cannabis later in January, and hope that we will have one soon, as others have requested, on redevelopment in town. I think that what we want really is to be able to voice our opinions and concerns and better understand what these plans are before they actually are sown. And so I'm hoping that we will have more meetings where people can speak for more than 3 minutes, and that we're having more of an open dialogue. That's what I look forward to. And also, I'm very pleased to hear that you may be opening some of the advisory boards to the public as well. I would just like to say that I think it's great that people come to these meetings to support their council members. I don't doubt that everybody who serves on the council has the town in their best interest, but we do have different interests, and we have different opinions in our town. We have neighbors that are going to be severely impacted by some of these redevelopment plans. And I think that their voices deserve to be heard. So I hope that we can be inclusive moving forward. And I, for one, look forward to working with you. And thank you for the opportunity to say hello and good luck and congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Sohn?
Alan Sohn. I'm here this evening as a Teaneck resident on behalf of One Town, One Vote. We speak on behalf of the neighbors on Bell Avenue. We speak on behalf of the neighbors near Alfred Avenue, for all those who've spoken about cannabis, and for all 40,000 residents, regardless of the issues that they have. We're asking for far greater transparency and a genuine effort to get broad public input before making major decisions. The upcoming cannabis forum should be the model of future efforts. We welcome the 3 new council members, our new Mayor Pagan, and the 3 other continuing members. We hope that the issues impacting Teaneck will be looked at with new eyes from all 7 council members, that a council and a leadership that better represents the diversity of our township will do a far better job of representing all of our residents. We're happy to see that Ordinance 6, 2023 is being introduced this evening, which will reopen the advisory boards that had been slammed shut some 2 years ago. Public attendance will only help these advisory boards to better help this council and the entire township to make better decisions. We hope that all council members will be looking more closely at every item on the agenda and every item on the bill list, asking pointed questions and working to ensure that our township is governed properly and effectively. Be it development, declaration of areas in need of redevelopment, multi-million-dollar giveaways for payments in lieu of taxes, pilot agreements, our crumbling infrastructure, as Ms. Nayowitz pointed out, our decrepit business districts, as well as cannabis and chickens, as well as cannabis for chickens, an issue I never even knew existed. These are issues that can no longer be rammed through, but that must be done or not done with the advice, consent, and participation of all 40,000 residents. Regardless of who you supported, regardless of who you voted for, regardless of who you expected to see get what, it stands for all 7 of you to be working on behalf of every single resident of this township. Every resident should be receiving VIP treatment from every one of you. Every one of you should be looking at the details at every single meeting and making the best possible decisions for our entire township. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Son. Mr. Rose.
Thank you. Howard Rose, Teaneck resident, former Board of Education trustee, former planning board member, former, well, quite a few. At any rate, after years of service and watching a lot, I'm very pleased to see this new council. Congratulations to the 3 new members. I supported you and I'm glad you're here. Art Vatsky made a statement to me the other day by email. Say, why is it councilwoman, councilman? Why isn't it council member? Because frankly, supporting 4 women actually at the time, I didn't care what their sex was. I cared that they were bright, knowledgeable, energetic, and had good thoughts regarding Teaneck. And that's what I want to see with all council members. So I'm glad to see that we have a lot of representation from diversity, but I'm more glad that we're getting more and more people who are going forward in a good manner. And I want to thank this council currently for its succinctness. You've already cut your meeting shorter than most, barring the congratulations to the promotions, which is one of the best things we do in Teaneck, just by being succinct. So this new council is in the right direction. Transparency, it seems like you're going in that direction also, which is great. I'm a little concerned with the resentment that seems to be shown regarding how this council is structured right now. I remember when Mark Schwartz first ran, they published a very strong letter of support that I wrote regarding him. Over the years since, we've had agreements and disagreements, always pretty respectful. And I'm sorry that things are decided in what we used to call smoke-filled back rooms. I'd like to see things going in the transparency direction there as well. And I know Mark is a strong enough character that he's going to work well with his peers here, and that our new mayor, would I have voted for you if I were on council? I don't know. But I'd like to have seen it discussed and talked about at a council meeting where you come in and express your thoughts as opposed to back rooms. We are what we are right now, and you are in the seats that you're sitting, well-deserved, voted on by council. And from this point forward, I want to support Michael Pagan to do the best job he possibly can for Teaneck. And I hope that's what everyone here wants to see done. It's important. We go forward. You don't have to do it with a smile, everyone, but boy, just do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Mr. Cook, do I have anybody on Zoom?
I am bringing in Stenson Bennett. Stenson Bennett. Stenson Bennett. Stenson Bennett. There you are, Stenson Bennett.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm I'm a resident in Teaneck, and I want to put out my utmost support for Mark Schwartz. I think what he's doing for the community is great. He's on top of the chickens, on top of the pot, so we all know we could trust him. I want to address the last guy who was addressing Mark Schwartz, roasting him for a C. I want to say that guy sits in an L position, the guy roasting him. L standing for loser. And you want to know what? I'm also a nice guy, so I want to return any lost objects. So if anyone finds that guy's life, let me know. Let's go Mark Schwartz. Let's go Teaneck.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to speak? Ma'am?
Good evening to all. And first of all, my name is Natalie Addison. I've been a resident of Teaneck for 36 years. First of all, I want to congratulate all the new council candidates that have won. And I'm so happy. And I just want to say, and I congratulate the new mayor. I've heard some remarks. I have seen it on Facebook. It's what is it? These are the members we have now to represent us. And I would hope you would work together for the resident of Teaneck. And I hope the resident of Teaneck will accept it and support the council, because this is what we need. And I'm hoping that they will be collaboration with the council and with the resident. So I wish you luck. And I also, the other thing is, I also want to agree with making some recognition on some landmark for Loretta Weinberg. If anybody deserves it, it's her. She's still getting recognitions from the state of New Jersey. She's still getting recognition from around the state. So why not Teaneck, whom she has represented all the time? I just don't understand why it's taking so long. So please, that is something that I really hope that the council will, address. And the other thing is, I would like to know, I don't know if it's possible, but when the council votes on votes and when they're abstaining, because there's about, I think, 3 or 4 past council. One council abstained from voting. I would like to know if it's possible for when you're abstaining to give a brief explanation of why. Because it seems as though when one council person is abstaining from a vote, it's telling me that there's some self-interest there. So, and I'm really concerned about that. So I wish that would be something that the council can think about. So I thank you. I thank you for your services, and I will support you, and good luck and good night.
Thank you, Ms. Addison. Mr. Clerk, do we have anybody else on Zoom?
Bringing in Shanaz.
Hello?
Hey, Shanaz, I'm just having a little trouble hearing you. Can you move a little closer to your microphone?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, 3 minutes.
Okay. This is Shanaz. Just want to congratulate the Teaneck Council on making history by having majority women on the council, and also for the first Latinx mayor. Congratulations. I'm calling because I'm very concerned about what's happening in my neighborhood, as it has been designated as AINR. I live near a Stop and Shop. I used to say I live by Bischoff's, but that's really sad to say that. But I'm really concerned about the AINR designation and the current development plans, which really will have an adverse impact on our lives. The roads are very busy here. They're narrow, and we're at risk of accidents. And I've seen already the last few years, I've seen a couple of shootings behind Stop and Shop. The scenes have not been pretty, and we've seen that headline in the newspapers. So really want us to consider the development plans and just a lot of transparency as we look at this. And if there's a way we can undo the AI and our designation, would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanaz. Is there anyone in chambers who would like to speak, sir?
My name is Golan Elias, and I'm a Teaneck resident. I came here to speak tonight about two topics. Firstly, I love chicken. I love fried chicken. I love grilled chicken, chicken fingers, eggs, omelets, you name it, I'll eat it. But I asked council not to consider having chickens in our backyards. They carry diseases. It would lead to manure everywhere. They have behavioral issues. Their lives, they don't give eggs throughout their whole lives, and the risk of predators and things like that come with it. So, but again, if anybody wants to have chicken with me anytime, I'm available. Secondly, I've been living in Teaneck for 11 years. During that time, Mark Schwartz has taught me a lot about politics, the town, and through his guidance, a lot about myself. I have looked up to him as a leader and a friend. He always taught me that no matter what people say or think about you, just keep doing what's right and chugging along. People have yelled at Mark and talked about him behind his back to me, so I know that that's happened, only to then ask him for help through his role on the council, and he helped them nonetheless. His behavior is a lesson that has resonated with me, and I have tried to instill in my children. Here's my ask for this council, and congratulations to the newest members of council. And I'm just gonna give my own input, take it or leave it. This is just me trying to help everyone here. The elections are over. You guys are representing Teaneck as a group. You've had differences of opinions. You've all said, negative things in the past, whether there's been backstabbing or not, politicking, whatever you want to call it, it's happened. And it's time to take a lesson from my friend Mark and move forward from what people are saying and what people are doing and figure out a way to work together for the town. I thank you all for your time tonight. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to extend the meeting to 11:30.
Is there a second? All those in favor, say aye. Mr. Clerk, do we have anyone on Zoom? Clear? Anybody in chambers want to speak? No, going once, twice. Good and welfare is closed. Oh, you got a hand on Zoom? All right, it remains open for one more hand.
Bring in Jim Dunleavy. Mayor Jim Dunleavy, former Mayor Jim Dunleavy. Sorry, semantics.
3 minutes.
Hi, hello. Is that you, Doctor? There he
Yes.
is.
Hello, everybody.
3 minutes.
I just want to, first of all, Doug, we got to get a new microphone up there. It's really terrible.
Noted.
It's cracking up. Now being on the other side, I can appreciate that. I just wanted to call in to express my full support for my Deputy Mayor Schwartz. What I've learned from him over the years serving with him was immeasurable. I always considered him someone who always had the township first and foremost in his mind. He never thought of one part of the town. He just thought about the town, thinks about the town. I would have hoped that what happened last week did not happen, and I can certainly understand the call for a public apology. And I would say that at the very least, I think someone needs to reach out to his family and have a discussion with them to make them understand what happened. But having said that, I understand what goes on in the back rooms. I was there for 4.5 years. And I understand politics, but I also understand class, I understand character, and I understand telling the truth. And every single time I worked with Mark, whether we agreed or disagreed, and God knows we disagreed on many, many things, I always knew where he was coming from, and he was always honest and told the truth, and he was consistent in everything that he said to me. So I am thankful that I had a chance to serve with him. He does so many wonderful things for this town, and I'm sure he will continue to do so. And I just hope that this council finds a way to sit down, whether it's in the back room or in public, and start to talk to each other and get moving past what happened last week, because the township needs that. So I thank everybody. I congratulate those. I congratulate my successor. And I think the town look forward to seeing the new council do great things. And I look forward to seeing Mark continue to do the wonderful things that he does, not only for the individuals that he talks to every single day, but to everyone in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody else on Zoom? No, right? No, she already spoke.
Yeah,
Uh,
no more hands, Mayor.
And nobody in chambers, so good and welfare is closed. We're gonna go left to right, if that's okay. Councilwoman Morgan.
So I'm going to bring it back to the chickens and the cannabis. And I know that the last few speakers have, but really there's a reason. You know, you look at the two and you look at the people that have spoken. Most people have spoken for both, not just one, for one against the other. They're not proportional. They're not inversely proportional. Everybody's all over the place. And this is Teaneck, right? We can agree, we can disagree. I don't want chickens. I'm not sure about cannabis right now. And everybody gets their opinion, and it's fine because you're entitled to your opinion and everybody gets to vote. As long as you're civil, as long as you're honest, as long as you show morals and character. And Mr. Wilkos, I do remember you when you were sitting up here. And when you spoke, I was actually curious as a former health officer what you felt about chickens, but you said something that moved me. You talked about Mr. Green and how it's about character and sensitivity to people. And you're 100% right, because at the end of the day, all you've got is your integrity. That's what you've got. You come into this world and it's your job to make sure that you leave with integrity. Someone shaking your hand with one hand and punching you in the stomach with the other is not integrity. And I think there's opportunity to heal wounds, but not if we're not honest with each other. That's it. That's what I've got.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Schwartz.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. First, thank you for everyone for coming out tonight. You know, we always talk about how everyone in the room and in the same people are in the same council meetings. Every single dedicated people are in the same council meetings week after week. So thank you to all the new faces. I thank you to all my friends. I thank you to all my friends and family that came out tonight. I appreciate their support. I hope to continue to make everyone proud and work for the town going forward. So thank you very much. I do want to make one correction. The comment that whoever made it, I apologize. It's not personal. The comment of not my mayor, the town elected Mayor Pagan. Mr. Pagan is my mayor and is a town mayor, and I wish him the best of luck. And we'll be here to support him and the rest of the council as we go forward every day, continue to make Teaneck a great place that we all live and love. I want to a few matters. State Street crosswalk. The request to have that on an automatically on Saturday, just as a reminder, we actually do that at Palisade and Cedar Lane. So whatever we did at Palisade and Cedar Lane, if we could do that at State Street and Queen Anne, that would be great. I know it took some programming there, but it worked out well. To Chris Brown, thank you for coming out to discuss a potential lower density, a much lower density property. I'm sorry, I pointed to you, Mr. Yuck, because we met with Mr. Brown, so he's not here. But thank you very much for that as we keep going back and forth in the dialogue and moving that dialogue forward. Cedar Lane facades is something I'll discuss with Councilwoman Belcher. Dennis Gralla, who represents the manager, who's the manager of quite a bit of Cedar Lane as it relates to the movie theater, to Garrison, to mention some monies there as well when I met with him this week. So I'll discuss that with you. And lastly, AINR, for those who are not here, Air in Need of Rehabilitation, Rehabilitation, there's another version as well. The concept of we don't see any blighted areas in Teaneck. That's not true. Everyone knows that's not true. There are plenty of areas in Teaneck that need work. If you like open abandoned parking lots where there's no cars other than 20 or 38 of them at night, which I've counted, then maybe Teaneck's for you. If you miss the fact that Bishop's, if you don't like the fact that Bishop's closed, if you don't like the fact that there's no one on Cedar Lane, the first thing we need to do is admit we have a problem. But to say we don't have any blighted areas is outright false. As it relates to no public input, when you have an AINR declaration, first the council approves it, then the planning board approves it. Then it goes back to the council. It goes back about 7 or 8 meetings, and that's before you begin any project. There's about 13 or 14 meetings, all public, all open before a project gets built. So if we want to start talking about what we need, we first have to start talking truthfully about what we do. That is my time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Councilman Schwartz for starting off before Good and Welfare with his statement. We can agree that we can civilly disagree on things. Let's just do the work for the residents. That's why all 7 of us are up here. That's right in my face. I can assure every resident that I'm fully committed to working with each of my colleagues in a productive and a respectful way. Ron Schwartz, a woman majority and a leadership that is truly reflective of this town is something that we should celebrate. A seat at every table is something I believe that is critical to government and its constituents. And I do mean every table. We look forward to the cannabis town hall and plan on having each quarter so residents can truly have the opportunity to know what's going on and speak on critical issues that impact them, including, and I believe Councilwoman Belcher is planning one on development. Mr. Yuck, Mr. Brown, and the Bell Avenue neighbors, I want to assure you that we are taking the flooding issue very seriously and we'll be addressing that. And we will be sure we'll be in communication with you and all neighbors on that. To Mrs. Baker, your voice has always been incredibly important and heard. It's very easy to speak about development, but it's so easy when we are speaking with and including the residents in the immediate area for their input, as well as the greater community. I believe that meeting is critical and I will make sure that we set it up properly. Regarding cannabis, no zoning changes have been made, nor will any take place until we hear from the residents for proper community input. The residents have long needed to be heard on this and know what is happening and what has happened. We plan on having the map to be present for resident input, exactly as Mr. Kantowitz suggested. As far as the applications, that's something that we are working on and will need to work with legal counsel as well as the greater council, since we are trying to formulate a real process go forward. So there's clear expectations for the community and for the businesses. We will have as much information possible on the 25th. Regarding chickens, I do think that we should look to move forward with chickens, and I hope that maybe we can start talking about it at the next council meeting. Cedar Lane is most commonly known as our main business district, and making Cedar Lane a destination for our residents, our college students, our visitors, and our business owners, such as Tony, who is a longtime friend of my mother's also, is a priority to me and my colleagues, and revitalizing Cedar Lane is something that I ran on from day one and I'm committed to working on. And lastly, Ms. Jones, I will reach out and I would like to come and take a walk with you early next week if possible. I'll take a lead from my colleagues here. My phone number is 845-545-2582, and anyone can reach me there. I'm available to every resident, and I do hope your dog is okay. And I really thank you for taking care of your community.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Belcher.
Okay, I want to start out by saying that last month I made a statement that it's vitally important that we work together, and number one, we respect and listen. And I just want to repeat that. That is vitally important that we as 7 members that are given the honor of representing this township respect each other and listen. And I just want to say that when we talk about cannabis, it is such an important topic. It truly is. And that's why coming in, serving on the subcommittee with Councilwoman Goldberg and Mayor Pagan, we want to get it right. We don't want to, take a swipe at it and hit and miss or have so many misses. So this forum is vitally important. We don't want to operate in a vacuum. We want to inform, but we also want to utilize best practices. There are townships and states that are doing this well, and we want to replicate that. We want to do it well. We want to be confident in the process, that there is a process in place. We want that process to be clear and concise. Therefore, that's why this forum is so important. I suggested that we also survey all 40,000 of our residents, those that can, give their input. I think that that's very, very important, and that we have a trackable application process. So we know the application. So our applicants and our licensees understand the process. I think social equity is so tremendously important. It is our societal obligation to why we are even here today, because many people went to prison and are still serving time in prison, as you all know, because of cannabis. So now that it's the thing that it's the greatest thing that we voted on it, and the voters have made decisions about it, we want to get it right. That's all I want to just get across. Bell Avenue neighbors, thank you for coming out, Phil and Chris, and we understand the retention tank. Our manager has really kind of spoken a lot about that. We're super excited that we're making progress to that length. I also agree with Chris Brown that we need to hold developers responsible when they come in with ideas, not only their ideas, but we need to hold them accountable to say, show us variations. Maybe it's not a 6-story building. Maybe it is a 3-story building. Maybe it is less dense. So it's not them telling us, but it's them coming to us saying, these are the options. These are the things in which we would suggest. And so I'm all for that, Mr. Brown. I also want to just state that it's very, very important that we have a forum on development. That is in the work. We want to do it in the second quarter of this year. So we want to take on the question of AINR. And to my colleague's point, yes, in the scope of things, if you look at the 9 criteria that AINR uses, we may not say we are blighted, but there may be other opportunities that we may want to look at. But I believe, as a real estate educator, it's important to educate. And I think because there's oftentimes misinformation, that's where fear enters in. And that's when people say, not in my backyard. But perhaps if we educate and we have these forums, it heightens all of our understanding. So that's where we're going, and we're all super excited about that. So I just want to end by stating that, thank you to all the neighbors that have come out. Thank you for your input. Anyone that wants my cell number, just come see me. I'm happy to do that. I'm also just want to say one other thing. I am in support of some type of recognition for Senator Loretta Weinberg. I believe she has served our community. She has raised her children. She has been an example for all of us. And I think that, as we come together, I'm confident that we can all put our heads together and find a way in which we can honor her service. And lastly, I just want to say that every one of us has a light to bring, and I will support all of our lights and all of our lights shining brightly. One thing that I do know as I grow older, and that is there's always 2 sides to every story. There's always 2 sides. And I just want to say, I look forward to Mayor Pagan, his leadership. Yes, diversity, equity, and inclusion is vitally important. And so I'm so glad that our residents understand that and see that. And I believe that they will support that. A seat at the table where everyone is represented is so important. So that's why we sit here today. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman Belcher. Deputy Mayor G.
Trying to keep this quick. There's so many comments. First, I just want to say thank you to Councilman Mark Schwartz for being so classy this evening and supporting our mayor. And also thank you to all the participants who have been really respectful tonight, mostly respectful. My heart goes out to family members, Mark's family members who may have been disappointed last week. I know that was tough, but I'm so thankful that we're ready to work with all of us. And I certainly am ready to work with all of the council members. I was so delighted to hear from all of the supporters of Freddie Green. I did not personally know him, but hearing it through your voices, I truly wish I had gotten a chance to know him. I'm very excited about what he did for Teaneck, bringing community policing in Teaneck. And when you see what we witnessed with our the support of our police today, you can see the impact that he's had. So thank you for coming out and support. I would also like to echo my colleague Denise Belcher's words about supporting our Senator Loretta Weinberg. She has done so much for this community. I hope to be also singing her praises soon. I believe we have a subcommittee on street renamings. Maybe we can get that on that agenda as soon as possible. We'll try to skip over the things that my colleagues have already addressed. Chickens, hopefully we can get that on the agenda soon. Cannabis, so excited that we are finally hosting a town hall. We campaigned on transparency and openness. This is our first effort to do that. Our second is by opening up the advisory boards, which is something we campaigned on. And we hope to continue with that transparency. I love the recommendation about a town hall on AINR and redevelopment. I think that would be really well received in town. Want to also address the comments from the YAB advisors, Mr. Kwan G and Shay Lewis. Would love to hear follow-up maybe from Dean about whether or not that will be able to be implemented. I think these are great. It's great to have students participate in civic engagement and advocate for themselves. I think it's a wonderful idea. I don't know if we have budget for it, but I think it's something we should certainly look into. The stop sign on Alicia and Bogart. I don't know if we've done a traffic study there, but maybe something we can look into as well. Paula's comments about the power plant in Kearney, I will certainly look into that. So thank you for bringing that up. Margot Kagan, thank you so much for sharing your story. I pray for your speedy recovery. It is really helpful to hear feedback from folks, especially on your experience with cannabis and your experience with chickens. And I think that's it. I'm really, really excited to be your next deputy mayor. I hope to work with all members of the community. I certainly will work with everyone sitting here on council and really look forward to serving. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor G. I want to thank everyone for coming out and participating tonight because I appreciate you taking the time to come and share your thoughts and ideas. It is an honor to be your mayor. And as I said last week, I plan to focus on peace and progress. And I pledge to work with every member of this council to help put Teaneck first. And anyone who wants to talk about anything Teaneck can please always feel free to call me on my personal cell phone at 201-543-7671 if they would like to talk. Regarding Bell Avenue, Dr. Yuck and Chris, I agree that we have to do something about Bell Avenue, and we are. And I know that Congressman Gottheimer is working hard to help secure funding to help as well. As for cannabis, I support expanding the zone and hope that residents will join us on January 25th so we can all discuss everything together. As for the Freddie Green Street renaming, I absolutely support that initiative and look forward to working on that with all of you to help make that happen. Concerning the crosswalk on State Street, Mr. Manager, can you please look into that for us when you get a chance? And Ms. Baker, I'm sorry we weren't able to connect previously, but I will try calling you again tomorrow, ma'am. As for the poison ivy issued by the Armory, Mr. Manager, can we please reach out to the leadership at the Armory and see if there's anything they can do to help us with that? And with that, Mr. Manager, is there anything you would like to say
Sure,
or
just
add?
a couple things. Paul, as far as electric vehicles, very difficult to get. I did try to get hybrid vehicles for the police department. We cannot get it. We're lucky if we get the regular gasoline powered vehicles. So whenever I can and get the opportunity for electric, I certainly try, but it's very difficult at this time. Ms. Brown, I know you and I spoke last week. I know you spoke to Mr. Romeo, and he actually, I believe, met with you. DPW was up there cleaning up the area. Very difficult to control illegal dumping. However, they do pick up garbage daily from the bins that are placed, whether it's Ward Plaza or by Teaneck Road. And as you and I discussed, I'm a little disappointed with personal responsibility with people dropping what they're dropping on our roadways or in our right of way. But the DPW will certainly make every attempt to maintain that right of way the best they can. Mr. G, regarding the AEDs, the day after the council meeting, he ordered 5 units. They're still on order. They're the same units that the ambulance corps uses, the police department and the fire department use. Just so that everyone knows, we already have 2 at the Rota Center, 2 at the Sportsplex. pool, splash pad. These 5, 2 will go, 1 will go at TBO, 1 at Teaneck Southern Little League. The 3 others will be extra units that will need to be signed out. Obviously, we need to have policy in place, and more importantly, training, which I will count on the ambulance corps to do that. I will reach out to PPRAB, Glenna Crockett from Recreation, and certainly the Youth Advisory Board to develop that policy and provide the training that needs to take place for the operation of the AED. Mr. Harley, I will have the police department check on that intersection of Alicia and Bogart. If there has never been a sign there, what we need to do is get the engineering department to sign off, and then we will need to do an ordinance. We'll have an ordinance in place, and I will check on the reprogramming of the signal at State Street and Queen Anne Road tomorrow. I think that's doable.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. The next order of business, Mr. Clerk, is the consent agenda, and all matters listed on the agenda are considered to be routine in nature by council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items, and if any discussion is desired by council, that particular item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Does anyone on council want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Sorry, Mayor, before you poll, you need to have a motion and second to
Okay, to approve.
bring it on.
Do we have a
And then
motion to approve the consent agenda?
Consent agenda, when we do that, we just need to detail what is on the consent agenda for the benefit of the public.
Do you mind, Mr. Clerk, please? Thank you.
Not at all, Mayor. We have 3 sets of minutes. We have resolution 17 through 38-2023. And the bill list in the amount of $10,381,569.82.
So move, Schwartz.
Is there a second?
You said 17 because it's flipped. It's weird.
It's
flip.
flipped.
Oh, that's my fault.
I'll move that 16 through 38.
Why, thank you, Deputy Mayor.
And Mr. Clerk, now is when members pull, correct? Does anyone want to pull anything?
16, please.
Also 33
20 and 21.
and the bill list.
We got
30.
16 from Councilwoman Oregon. 16 from Councilwoman Oregon. We had 30,
20, 21.
20, 20, 20 or 21?
Both.
Both.
33 and the bill list.
33 from Councilwoman Goldberg. And you want to pull the bill list from the consent agenda.
So, Mr. Clerk, if that's correct, 16 from Councilwoman Oregon, 21 and 22 from Deputy Mayor G.
20 and 21.
20 and 21?
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
16 from Councilwoman Oregon, 20 and 21 from Deputy Mayor G.
33 from Goldberg
33
and
from
the bill
Councilwoman
list.
Goldberg and the bill list from Councilwoman Goldberg. So then that means that we will be considering the 3 sets of minutes, 17, resolution 17-2023 through 38, excluding 16, 20, 21, 33, and the bill list in the amount that we had just mentioned. And we had a first from Councilman Schwartz and a second from Deputy Mayor G. I will call the roll on that. Councilmember Schwartz.
Yes on all.
Councilwoman Belcher.
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Oregon. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Begon.
Yes on all.
Yes on all except for the ones that we just mentioned.
So first up is 16-2023, appoint 2023 to 2024 council liaisons, Councilwoman Oregon.
I just don't know if it was done intentionally or if it was an error, but the Board of Education in the minutes was supposed to be both myself and Deputy Mayor G. The reason being, I think it's just very important with someone rolling off of the Board of Ed to have somebody else there when they're looking to bond a lot of money now. So I'd like it if all the liaising was done by the 2 of us, if we could just take the alternate out of there.
I
and make sure
apologize.
to
That
include me.
was my fault. I'll fix that, Councilwoman.
Everybody's okay with that?
Yes, of course.
Next,
Wait, Mr. Mayor, can I talk on that one too?
yes, of course.
I would just like to know on this, why is the Board of Adjustment, there is no liaison? And the planning board is done through a separate resolution. Councilmember Schwartz is already the liaison on class 3 through 191, 2022. And I think we also left off the forum.
So what would you like to do? What are you proposing?
Can we add the forum and remove Board of Adjustment and Planning Board?
Deputy Mayor G?
I was actually gonna suggest that the Board of Ed and Forum liaison be combined. It's the same, basically the same body. It's 2 meetings, but I think the same person that does Board of Ed should do Forum.
Denise, did you want to say something? No? So procedurally, Mr. Clerk, does there have to be a motion? Or 4 nodding heads?
Specifically what we're doing.
Mayor, it's a motion to amend the
Okay.
resolution.
So we are amending resolution 16-2023. That's correct. And we are changing the alternate to be both of you. And we are combining the Board of Education liaison with the Forum liaison.
Everybody's okay with that? Is there a motion?
Wait, sorry, one more thing.
Sorry,
The
Deputy
Site
Mayor.
Plan Review Board, should that be on this list?
Pause, we'll get to that one.
Okay.
Council liaison, so we were combining Board of Education with the Forum. And what was the last thing that we did?
Doug, hang on 1 second. I don't mean to interrupt, but you got to add the format, I think. I don't think the form is on here, is it? I spoke into the mic, Mr. Rose. I don't, and my voice is loud, so, there's a form on here?
No.
So we have-
council
The
liaison.
motion has to be to add the forum and then combine it.
Second.
By the Board of Education with the Forum and
And
removing,
Planning Board and Board of Adjustment, just because Mr. Schwartz is already class 3 through 191, 2022, and there is no liaison to the Board of Adjustment.
Are you removing the planning board liaison position or just the fact that Mr. Schwartz was designated as the planning board liaison, sorry, Councilmember Schwartz was listed as the planning board liaison? I just want to make sure that it's clear.
So my understanding prior to 2018, it wasn't on here. So he is the class 3 member of the planning
Correct.
board, so that he is the council liaison through class 3.
so remove both of those liaison positions from the resolution. Okay.
Yes.
So that was 16-2023, which was pulled from Councilwoman Organ. You had a question, Deputy Mayor G, of the Site Plan Review Advisory Board. The Affirmative Action Advisory Board is not in the code anymore. That hasn't been in the code for some time. If council wishes to add that board back to the code, council can do that. It will need to be done by ordinance.
Okay.
So the Site Plan Review Advisory Board is still within the township code. No one has been staffed on it for quite some time. Council can choose this evening to establish a liaison to the Site Plan Review Advisory Board. However, just keep in mind, it's not really there right now. So we would need to staff it up to officially be a liaison to something. And also, Mayor, just please keep an eye on the clock. I think it's 11.
Yeah, it's 11:20.
Just on that, Mr. Attorney, is there a liaison for the site plan review board statutorily? It's an independent body. I don't think there is.
Yeah, I have to, I don't think there would be a liaison. It's just an advisory body to the planning board.
I was only saying that in response to your question about it, if there should be a liaison or not.
So, Mr. Clerk, we have a motion and second.
So so again, for 16, getting rid of the alternate for the Board of Education, you two are both the liaisons. We're going to add the form, the council liaison list, and then combine it with the Board of Education liaisons. And we will also remove the Planning Board and Board of Adjustment council liaison positions. There was a first from Councilwoman Belcher and a second from Councilwoman Goldberg. I will call the roll for this particular resolution, 16-2023. Councilmember Schwartz. Yes. Councilwoman Belcher. Yes. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan. Yes. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Yeah, Mayor Began.
Yes.
Yes
and-
by all.
And Mr. Clerk, should we request a motion to extend the meeting to 11:45?
I'll make a motion to extend the meeting to 11:45.
Second.
All in favor, say aye, please. Next, Mr. Clerk, I think it was 20-2023 and 21-2023. Deputy Mayor G.
20 and 21. Paper again, all mixed up.
Yeah, no, so I just had a question about how we choose our professional services providers and how often we RFP out for those services. So I see that these are already planned with very specific projects, but I was just curious as to what our process is. And maybe this is a question for Mr. Manager, but. sort of
Yeah,
maybe
we
answer that.
renew, engineering is a professional services contract. They handle all engineering. Fast Tech does for the town. We renew their contract on a yearly basis. And I believe what we just passed at the reorg was a month-to-month contract with Fast Tech until, I believe it's March, 3 months, and then we'll decide moving forward to renew the contract or not.
Okay, that's helpful. I just think as a best practice, and at least we used to do this on the Board of Ed, is we would periodically look at all of our professional services and just RFP out, no knock on our current providers, but just to ensure that we're always getting the best services for our community members. So,
Agreed.
thank you.
So then from here, Mayor, for 20 and 21, if there's no more discussion amongst council,
Motion and a
we will take a
second.
motion and a second.
Is there a motion to
adopt those.
approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Schwartz. Councilwoman Belcher. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Began.
Yes.
Adopted. 20 and 21-2023.
Next up is 33-2023 and the bill list. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Okay, so on 33, I just have a quick question. I know animal control is very important for our residents. And I was looking at the contract. Is there an alternative where we have animal control, where we're not working with euthanasia service?
Bergen County handles all of our animal control. We do have a police officer that's assigned to to investigate any sort of animal cruelty. We had this discussion a few years back when Benny Ascalise was handling animal control service. The dogs are housed by Bergen County Animal Control. We don't have the facilities here in Teaneck to do that. But as far as euthanasia, I don't know
It's in the contract.
when that's happened.
Okay. That's it.
So that was 33.
What about the
shared
bill
services
list?
agreement?
Bill
between
list?
them?
Yeah, and should I go to the bill list now or?
I think we should vote on the individual piece of legislation.
Okay.
So is there a first? 33-2023, authorizing a shared services agreement between the township and the county of Bergen for animal control services. It was pulled by Councilwoman Goldberg.
moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor G.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Schwartz. Yes. Councilwoman Belcher. Yes. Councilwoman Goldberg.
No.
Councilwoman Oregon. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Began.
Yes. Next, the bill list. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions on a few invoices. So I was a little unclear why we're issuing payments to the Jewish Link and the Jewish Standard. So I got the invoices from Doug and they're for public notices, but the official newspapers are the Bergen Record and the Star Ledger. So we're sending Open Public Meetings Act notices to the Record, the Suburbanite, the Jewish Standard, the Jewish Patch, the Jewish Link, and the Star Ledger, but I'm just not clear why we're paying the newspapers on top of the official newspapers as well.
You want to handle that, Mr. Clerk, since
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
your purchase, that's your purchase.
So like we discussed earlier this afternoon, Councilwoman Goldberg, there is no obligation on us to have paid ads in all these different publications. It was just a way to cover the township should one of the publications not publish what we give them to publish, which unfortunately has happened in the past.
So if that's happened in the past, I've heard it's the record, why aren't we addressing that to fix that and change the
We do.
official newspaper to a newspaper that we don't have that problem with?
We have addressed it with the record, and now we have a personal contact there, and they give us the quote unquote white glove service now after their few screw ups, which is very giving of them. However, the record is, I did look into changing our official newspaper, and the record is the only game in town. They got the whole thing monopolized. They check every box, reach, area, number of prints and things like that. If we wanted to change the official newspaper, I'm open for it. It's just finding the other option that is permitted by the state statute.
You know, I just think if there's an issue, we should change it. We just, voted on it last week, but if there's an issue, we should address it.
Yeah, I did try. So again, if council has another idea of a paper that I could look into, I would happily do that.
Thank you. And then my only other question on that was, and I did speak with Councilmember Schwartz about this, on the Phillips Price invoice 36523. I was unclear why Mr. Hughes was being paid $116 to watch the public session of the November council meeting. So I'm just trying to understand what that process is, like who's directing him to watch the good and welfare. Should that be a discussion? Because we're all voting on it. So is that something that we should all be knowing is happening?
I can address that, Mr. Clerk, if you want. If that's.
Yes,
questions to me.
by all means, yeah, I do not have the answer to that question.
We're actually quite lucky. It's only $116 with our meetings being on Zoom. Our professionals do not have to come out to the meetings and to sit here through hours upon hours to answer any potential questions that came up. Why our planner was at that particular meeting on Zoom and is because that particular meeting, which was November 22nd, had 359 Alfred Avenue on the agenda, which is the completion of that project. It also had 189, the plaza parts of that on the project as well. Both of those which were, and I believe 140 State Street originally listed. So all those projects were based on work done by the planner. So the planner, the planner calls in case there's any questions or anything needs to be seen, spoken, or read. I also ask them to review the minutes as well, just so if there's any questions that weren't answered, we know for the future. It's very similar to some of our, so our CFO, who we rarely see at the meeting, but our CFO frequently calls into the meeting and sits through just on the chance that there is a question. The last thing we want to do is say, Mr. Manager, can you please call the CFO on the cell phone, see about that, which he had the phone ready to go. So we appreciate that. And I frankly see that in the efforts of transparency and making sure everything is answered without hesitation and we can get back to the public, it is the best $116. And for that, I would like to move the minutes into the bill list if you do agree.
Second. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
First from Councilmember Schwartz, second from Councilmember Goldberg. We have Councilmember Schwartz.
Yes, and all except 2204-550 and 2204-611, which is $150 to the Jewish Link, of which I'm affiliated with, as it relates to legal ad notices for the 2023 meeting and the 2023 meetings.
Can you just
Yes.
give me those numbers?
2204-550 and 2204-611. Sorry for my speed.
I'll find it. The Jewish Link invoices, right?
Yes.
And Councilmember Belcher. Councilmember Goldberg.
Yes, but I'm going to abstain on the Jewish Link invoices, the Jewish Standard invoice, and Richard Price invoice 36523.
Sorry, 1 second.
Sorry.
Abstaining on Jewish Link invoices, Jewish Standard invoices. What was your last abstention?
Philip Price 36523.
6, 5, 2, 3. Councilman Morgan, sorry. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes, but I'd like to request that we no longer pay for advertisements that we're not required to pay.
All right, does council agree with that?
Can we talk about it a little further? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you, but I do have a comment.
No, I was,
Yeah, no, I just think the advertisement should be in line. So if we're saying it's these 5 newspapers, it should be those 5. If they're not, if we want to add one, that's fine as well, but I think they should match.
Readership and reach, that should be the criteria basically used as to where we advertise. So I'm in agreement with what the statement was earlier, that the newspaper we use should be the one that has the greatest reach.
anybody else before I call on the township attorney and say something myself?
Yeah, I'd like to actually request that we send a letter to the governor to get rid of this because no one reads the newspapers to find out, oh, the meeting schedule is on page 96 of the giving section or living section. As a matter of fact, I believe that the governor actually passed that and the newspaper press pushed back. And I think the number was 60 million or $16 million of annual spend by municipalities putting things into an antiquated newspaper. And so I think this is entirely unnecessary to begin with. And this council and this clerk spend a significant amount of time redoing ordinances that we approved that were then failed to publish. And we had to sit there, vote on it again, have good and welfare on it again, because the newspapers failed to do it. So I understand and appreciate the clerk's fail safe or his attempt at a fail safe. Redoing the ordinances is quite costly. And I'm really in favor of getting rid of everything.
Mr. Attorney?
No one really.
Councilman Schwartz said basically what I was going to say, which was that the reason that we've done that, Deputy Mayor G, is because of the failure of the record to publish the ordinances when the clerk has sent them out. So I spoke to Clerk Roussillon about this today, because Councilwoman Goldberg called me as well, and the conversation we had was essentially that a lot of the non-official newspapers and or other media outlets, they won't publish what we send them unless we pay for it. So my suggestion would be, if we're going to do what I think you're suggesting, is we got to add to our list of official outlets and then pay for it.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. I personally am in favor of growing that list because of my job at the county. I have to deal with newspapers every day, and we advertise notices in so many papers just to get it to as many communities as possible. I'm not comfortable with voting against it right now. I'm okay with talking about it further, but as of right now, I'm okay with it for now.
Did you abstain on anything? From the bill, this is the bill list that we're on right now.
Oh, no, I didn't abstain from anything when bills is.
Okay, cool. Mayor Began. Was that a yes then, Deputy Mayor J? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said yes to start.
Mayor Began.
Yes, sir, Mr. Clerk. Yes. If I am not mistaken, Mr. Clerk, the next order of business is the introduction of ordinances, and this is when you read the title of the ordinances into the record, correct?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
The first ordinance that we are introducing this evening is ordinance number 2-2023, amending Appendix 3, fees and charges for township services of Chapter 2 of the Township Code entitled Charter Administrative Code relating to fees for police details. We have ordinance number 3-2023, amending Section 2-73 of Article 13 of Chapter 2 of the Township Code respecting the establishment and organization of the Department of Police. We have ordinance number 4-2023, amending Section 36-11.2 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, adding restricted on-street parking spaces for the handicap at 195-201 West Englewood Ave. We have ordinance number 5-2023, amending ordinance number 34-2022, establishing positions and salary ranges for executive, managerial, professional, and confidential employees and for unclassified municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck effective January 1, 2022 and January 1, 2023. We have, last but not least, ordinance number 6-2023, amending section 2-148 of Article X of Chapter 2 of the Township Code relating to general provisions of council advisory boards. Mayor, those are the ordinances that we're introducing this evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone on council that would like to make a comment before we
Yes.
call the roll? Yes, sir.
Yes, I have
Mr.
two
Councilman.
comments and I real, sorry.
Yes, sir, Mr. Councilman,
Okay.
please.
I have two comments. First, as it relates to ordinance number 4 of 2023, this didn't come to the parking committee. We just redid and added a significant amount of handicap spots, which are very important in the back on Court Street, as well as behind in the main lot. Our new spots, our new handicap spots have larger widths for the people to get out of the cars, or the bump outs in Cedar Lane. I don't know why we're putting 2 handicap spots in the middle of West Englewood Avenue on the main street where it's a war zone, and there's no way a person can get out of their car on a handicap position on the side based on traffic. I don't know the origin of this, but I think this should be re-looked at from that concern. So I'm not sure if we address that to the manager or not.
All right, Mark, this came from a resident that wanted handicap parking in West End. With the police went up there, obviously determined there was no handicap parking between Queen Anne and Powell. But, you know, again, like you said, there is handicap parking sufficient on the north and south side parking lots.
And I'm sorry, not just, in my opinion, not just sufficient, but safer.
Yes.
And again, if I'm wrong, if the
Yep.
police say I'm wrong, by all means,
No,
it's just, I don't.
I agree.
And
Mr. Schwartz, what would you like to propose, sir?
I like to propose that at this time, we remove ordinance number 4, 2023. I'll make a motion to table number 4, 2023. Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Everybody's okay with that?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye, please. Aye. And you had a second thing?
Yes, one last
Mr.
thing,
Schwartz.
one last thing I just want to mention, I'm pretty sure it's going to pass, but I think it's important we mention it. We all remember in elementary school how a bill becomes law. The way it usually works, I believe the initial agenda item listed by Councilwoman Goldberg to discuss what I believe they had a very important to them, the council advisory boards being opened. It then vanished from council listed and miraculously appeared on the back of the ordinance section. So from a transparency point of view, we don't run the government in subcommittee, and there was not even a subcommittee on this. So I think in the future, and I believe there's some support here for this, in the future, it should first be addressed as it was originally proposed on the agenda under council listed. And then if there's nodding heads, it goes to the attorney, I believe, to then first draft up the ordinance. So I understand this is something that's meaningful to a lot of people on this, and I will be supporting it. But I think it's important to point that out. I also think it's important to point out that I'm the only one on this dais that was on advisory boards before this ordinance was in effect. And there was some chaos. And I hope that whoever does attend these meetings in the public listens, hears, and respectfully treats the chairs and makes their comments in accordance with that respect. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Duly noted. Does anybody want to comment?
Sorry, I didn't see your hand. No, 2 hands. I'd like us to reach out to the chairs of the advisory boards to let them know, to explain 3 minutes, up to 15 minutes of good and welfare, and they have the discretion to then cut it off. I'm just worried that some of them are not strong personalities, and I don't want them to get themselves into a position where it's 11:45 now, and
Okay, we can do that.
their whole meeting went. So I think it's worth, maybe the clerk could have a meeting with them if this passes.
Yeah, I'll send this to everyone. If this gets introduced tonight, I'll send it to everyone.
Thank you, Councilwoman Morgan. Councilwoman Belcher?
Chairs of these advisory boards. I do want to also mention that as a part of this ordinance, there is a requirement, and I would say particular statutory on the land use boards, that there be attendance records taken for both the planning board and the board of adjustment. And I would simply think that we'd like to see that those.
We can do that. We can do that. Thank you, Councilwoman.
You got to extend the meeting, Mayor.
Yeah, do we have a motion to extend it 5 more minutes?
Motion Schwartz.
Second? All those in favor, please say aye. Anybody else want to talk about the ordinances, or can we please call?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
two
Councilwoman
things.
Goldberg.
One, so ordinance 1-2023, we voted to move at the reorganization. There was no discussion prior. It was not listed anywhere. Same for every ordinance listed tonight for introduction. So just so I'm clear, should the process go forward be that every single ordinance be listed as council list item first, and then it's introduced at the following meeting? We just want to be consistent. And then more importantly, in 2022, the advisory boards were closed to the public under the claim that they're not advisory to the council. They're advisory to the council, therefore they don't need to be opened and are not subject to OPMA. And you know what? Legally, they don't need to be open, but democracy dies in darkness. And just as Brandeis said, sunlight is said to be the best disinfectant. And when the public has the opportunity to attend, even if it's just the residents on Cottage Place and Academy Lane in attendance, when the public has the opportunity to provide that input to the advisory boards and know what's going on, the advisory boards better serve their function best. They receive the input and can advise the council, and residents have more trust in their government. And we've ensured that protection for the volunteers with regard to the good and welfare part, and took input from the advisory board chairs with regard to circumstances for closed session. And then can I move on to, I want to motion to amend, is that, okay. On 3-23, really quick typo. We're amending section 2-73, but section 1 of the ordinance says section 2-74. So I just want to make the change to section 2-73. So it's consistent.
Could you just write that in a quick email to me? If you have your
Yes.
email up, thank you.
Anybody else?
Wait, should I table that then? Should we table that? No. Okay.
No, that sounds like a Scrivener's error, which we'll correct.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody good? Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes, so we have, remember, we tabled ordinance 4. So we're looking at 2356-2023. The first was from Schwartz, and the second came from, did someone else second it?
I thought it was Hillary. Did you second it?
Second.
Yeah.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes, and all.
Councilmember Belcher,
Yes.
Councilmember Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan, Debbie Ritchie,
Yes.
Mayor Begon.
Yes.
All introduced. We'll see you next time.
Do
Mr. Mayor, motion
sir.
to adjourn?
second.
Second.
anyone?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We appreciate your being here.
No.